Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, education, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Smash that like button. Let's go. What's up, good people? It is your favorite breast cancer survivor Speaks, back with another live stream. All right, so today we're going to continue the rewind of Chandler Halderson. And so we're going to watch certain witnesses, certain testimony, and we're going to finalize and stop here today. There are some other very important current cases. There is a current case that I want to cover, and so we're going to end it here for today. Just to give you a little background on the story of Chandler Halderson. Hold on, let me just turn the music down just a little bit. So shout out to No One for the track that's playing behind the video. If you're a content creator and you're looking to get some music for your video to play behind your video, you can sub up to No One, and you would have to work out the logistics with him because that's his business, right? And so let's get right into it. So we're going to read a little background. When the Haldersons suddenly vanished in July of 2021, what seemed like an innocent missing persons case quickly unraveled into something far more sinister. Investigators uncovered a trail of lies, forged documents, and a chilling cover-up that shocked even the most seasoned detectives. What drove Chandler Halderson to commit the unthinkable? How did his carefully crafted world of lies come crashing down? Join Survivor Speaks as we take a deep dive into the chilling case of deception, desperation, and red rum. So if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe and that like button and turn on all your notifications so you never miss our live streams or videos. That is a free way to support the show. Also, so donations are not mandatory, but they are welcome. There is several ways that you can donate to the show. You can become a member. You can donate to the Cash App, or you can buy super chats, so that way your comment goes to the top. You have a question, it goes to the top, or you can just hit that like button. It's a free way to support the show so it gets the video out there in the algorithm. And I appreciate you greatly just for being here, subscribing, and hitting the like button for free, for the free 99. All right, so if you're watching live, jump into the chat. We want to hear your thoughts and questions throughout the show. We have a very interactive chat, and I love that for us because it gives us a way to, get together, interact, and, share our differences of opinion as long as it's a respectful one. Okay? So let me see who's in the chat so we can get right into it. Today, I'm going to be here for a time, but not like yesterday, because, a girl got to go out and make the donut. Sometimes, if I'm not making any here, I got to go out and, do what I do. So, Chad Diggy. What's up, Chad Diggy is the coldest mod here on YouTube. She is my mod captain. So, I do not handle any mod situations anymore. Any other mods, you have any questions, please see Chad Diggy. She has carte blanche to speak to you in regard to the mod situation, whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm focused on content, not moderators anymore. I have someone for that. That's Charles Diggy. Let me drop Charles Diggy's channel emoji down in the chat. Let me drop Charles Diggy's emoji in the chat. Yeah, that's Charles Diggy's emoji. I see Tat Clouds was in here. Like, I don't know what I told y'all. Something is going on funny with the YouTube or whatever it may be. I'm not sure. But Tat Clouds, I do see you here, but your comment is not over here. So I don't know what's going on, y'all. It just be from day to day issue. So I just dropped Tat Clouds emoji in the chat. She also has a channel emoji. What's up, Miss Universal T with Marie? We love Miss Universal T with Marie over here. Thank you so much for stopping through. If you guys can go over sub up to Miss Universal T with Marie. She brings the news in her own special way, and I love and appreciate her for that. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube and Facebook. We are streaming on 3 different platforms. And I appreciate you for that. But consider coming over to YouTube and just smashing that like button for the free 99. The show, it's a way to support the show. And then you can go back to watch the show from wherever you like. So I think I don't see anyone else here. So there's other people here. Like I said, they're watching from Twitter and Facebook. So we're going to get right into it this morning. Let's bring this on. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm having a because of the time, like I'm having a a tug of war with what I want to play, right? So let me see. Cha, can you please drop no one's link in the chat for me, please? Thank you. If you are like I said, if you're a YouTuber looking to get some music to play behind your video, like I said, go on ahead and reach out to no one. No one, I hope you're feeling better. No one is a little under the weather, so he is not here with us today, just as of yet. But he likes to make his way. You was looking for Child Diggy link? Child Diggy. So she has a channel. You can subscribe. She has not put any thing on it as of yet, but I think she's working on that. Just sharing the videos. She's a moderator, like one of the coldest moderators on the YouTube, the coldest moderator on the YouTube. And so, she mods against across different channels and different platforms. And she probably stepped away for a minute. All right, so let me get no one's link. I don't know where Charles Diggy and Tat are. Let me get his link for you, Miss University with Marie. Reach out to him. He is awesome. Awesome. Oh, there's Charles Diggy. Charles Diggy, can you drop no one's link as well? Because she wants to reach out to no one for some background music. Like I said, he's not feeling well, but he probably will answer. That's just how he is. He probably will be on here soon. That's how he is too. Let me drop no one's emoji down in the chat. That's no one's emoji right there. And stay tuned for some stuff, some heat that me and no one are, working on. Hopefully we can wrap this up so we can get it out. But anywho, let's get right to it. So understand we have the Detective Sabrina Sims, and she's going to be testifying to whatever regarding the Chandler Halderson's case. Just a reminder, everything that you hear them say about Chandler Halderson, with the exception of the detectives, because they're telling you what the findings were. But anytime any other witness gets up there and says anything about Chandler Halderson, it is a lie. He's lied to everybody in his life. It's not fair. But he did it and then did the unthinkable because his father figured it out. Listen, you need to explain to me, like, all these lies you've been telling me all this time, job offers, currently working at this company, going to school, failing, received an injury. I think that's what she's getting ready to talk about. One of the things she's going to talk about, you name it. He just never, I mean, I don't think he said anything that's truthful except that his name is Chandler Halderson. That's it, and that's all. Everything else that comes out of his mouth, every action that he takes, every move that he makes with intention, because he has, you know, in his little creative mind, he has a very creative, colorful mind. He should have been an author. That's what I said. But instead, he chose to do the unthinkable, and that was unalive his parents and then take his town where he lives on a wild goose chase. And also, not only did he unalive them, but he extended, as we saw yesterday, through testimony from his girlfriend's mother and her partner, he extended the crime scene to additional areas, put people, you know, in harm's way. Could have possibly made them suspects. It is just disgusting. But let's get into this trial today. Hey, KT Hoop, thank you so much for showing up today. I do appreciate the support, and I do see you in the chat when you're here. So, okay. Thank you, Miss Universal Tea with Marie, for sharing the video out. So let's go. Let's get into this video because this is a mess. Let me just hit play so we can get right into it. No, that's not it. Okay.
So, Detective Sims, I assume your name is still spelled the same as yesterday?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
She was on yesterday.
We won't go through that again.
So they got these.
In the course of this investigation, were various warrants and subpoenas written?
Yes, they were.
Okay, she was on the stand. We did watch her.
Okay. Warrant or subpoena?
Depending on the type, we're looking for records from companies or businesses. For example, cell phone companies, medical records, things of that sort.
Okay. Basically telling them they have to turn over whatever you wrote the subpoena for.
That's correct.
Okay. And were such records written to local healthcare and hospitals in the area?
Yes.
Okay. Specifically for the defendant's records?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 494. What is Exhibit 494?
It is a
excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry.
subpoena and return for the UW health records of Chandler Halderson.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of that subpoena?
Yes, it does.
At this time, I would move Exhibit 494 into evidence.
Any objection?
None.
It is received.
And of course, a lot of it is just legal mumbo jumbo, but I have noted with a pink tab there.
Miss Universal Tea with Marie, thank you so much for sharing the video. I do appreciate you.
Paragraph, it's on page 1347 of Discovery for Counsel. Would you just read to the jury this paragraph? What specifically UW Health was court ordered to provide your office with?
Sure. Certified copies of medical records pertaining to Chandler M. Halderson, male white, date of birth 3/15/1998. More specifically, a complete copy of the official medical records to include outpatient notes, all discharge summaries, all pathology reports, and all clinic summaries, X-ray, EKG, and lab reports collected and created by UW Health pertaining to the Haldersons examination on or around June 17th, 2021, and any follow-up treatment as a result of a head injury.
All right. So you asked for the records for that day that he went into the ER, but also for any follow-up appointments.
That's correct.
Did you receive records from UW Health for the day he was seen at the ER?
Yes, we did.
Did you receive any records for any follow-up appointments?
We did not.
Okay. But they were court ordered to provide them had any follow-up appointments occurred?
That's correct.
I'm now going to show you what has been marked as exhibits 492 and 493. What are those two exhibits? What is 492 first?
492 is a document from UW Health, including a certification of medical records from CIOX Health. And it is the health records from UW in regards to patient Chandler M. Halderson for treatment he received on June 17th, 2021.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of what you received from UW Health in response to your court order?
Yes, it does.
And what is document 493?
493 is a CIOX Health certification of medical records for Chandler Halderson, certifying the records that we received. CIOX Health is a records management company that manages the records for UW.
So they are the ones who receive the subpoenas and they output or answer the subpoenas and send you the court-ordered records.
That's correct.
At this time, I would move exhibits 493 and 492 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are received.
Hold
And
on.
I'm of course not going to put these on the overhead because they're very small print, but I am going to ask on page 1207 or page 10 of the medical records, I'm going to ask that you just read this paragraph for the jury.
And which exhibit?
I'm sorry, that is on 492.
I'm sorry, hold on.
On arrival, the patient presented as above and was promptly evaluated by this provider. VS, Victor Sam, were reviewed, which were reassuring. Exam notable for midline C2, C3 tenderness to palpation. Patient was promptly provided a cervical collar. Obtained CT, head and CT cervical spine, both of which were negative. Given the patient remains with midline cervical spine tenderness, palpation was placed in a PMT, Paul, Mary, Tom, collar. Patient likely suffered a mild concussion. We did discuss signs or symptoms that would warrant immediate return to the emergency department, for which patient verbalized understanding. Patient was provided concussion protocol for home, in addition to prescription for Zofran for nausea. Patient and patient's father were in agreement with treatment plan, was subsequently discharged home. Stable condition with neurosurgical follow-up in 4 to 6 weeks for repeat evaluation of his cervical spine.
I have no further questions for this witness at this time.
Cross-examination?
Detective Sims, as far as the subpoena goes, that was directly to UW Hospital, correct?
Can I look at the document again? It was UW Health. There's just multiple hospitals, UW hospitals and clinics.
And let me ask a better question.
Sure.
No other subpoenas to any other hospitals in Madison were sent out, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No.
Detective, thank you. You may return to your seat.
State calls Dr. Lohmeyer to the stand. Just want to go to the gentleman in the gray jacket.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I take it from your title you work in healthcare. If your preference is, and if you believe you should, remain masked while testifying, I have no problem with that. If you believe you can safely and responsibly not wear your mask and testify, I leave you that choice.
Yes, sir. I'm comfortable removing it if that's the court's preference.
That is the preference, and that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I'm also going to ask that you move that mic a little closer.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Could you please state both your first and last name and spell them for the record?
Absolutely. My name is Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Lohmeyer, L-O-H-M-E-I-E-R.
How are you employed?
I'm an emergency physician at the University of Wisconsin Hospital and Clinics.
Were you employed as such in June of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're an ER physician, so you have a MD?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. And I assume as an ER physician, you see lots of patients.
Yes, that's correct.
And I assume you do not remember all the details of every visit.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. So I believe it might even still be up there. Are they at the table? Oh, I'm sorry. So, doctor, would it assist you to have a certified medical record of the visit with the patient we're going to discuss today in order to testify?
Yes, thank you.
And I'm also going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 491. How would you identify Exhibit 491?
This looks like my CV, my curriculum vitae.
All right, and for people that aren't in the science or academia, is that a fancy way to say resume?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And that includes all your training,
That's
including
correct.
where you went to med school, other trainings you have participated in.
That's correct.
Move Exhibit 491 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
It is received.
So on June 17th of 2021, did you in fact see a patient named Chandler Halderson?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you have any independent, before you look at the certified medical record, do you have any independent recollection of that visit?
Prior to being contacted by the subpoena, I did not have any recollection of the visit, no.
Okay, so feel free to review and to look at the certified medical record. I think it's helpful for the court just to know if you're looking at the record when you are.
Sure.
So do you know about what time of day you saw Mr. Halderson on June 17th?
I believe it was around noon.
Okay. And what symptoms did he report, or where did he report to?
I don't think I understand. Where did he
Sure,
report?
I'm sorry. You work for the UW system. There's more than one UW hospital in
Yes, ma'am.
Madison, right?
Yes. That day I was working out at the emergency department at the UW hospital at the American Center, also known as TAC.
Okay, and that's way out on the east side.
East side, correct.
And did Mr. Halderson present there in the ER?
Yes, that's correct. He self-presented.
Okay, and had you met him before this day?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. What symptoms did he present with?
I believe he was complaining of some pain to his head and his right ribs after a reported fall down some stairs.
So what did you do in your treatment?
In the emergency department, we have an attending physician who's responsible for all patients that present to the ED. We also have a team of physician assistants who we work with. At that time, my physician assistant went and evaluated the patient first. He came up with a treatment plan. We discussed it. I evaluated the patient afterwards and agreed on the plan, and then got some imaging.
Okay, what imaging did you get?
We got a CT scan, a CAT scan of his head and his C-spine, his cervical spine.
And what, if anything, did that imaging reveal?
Those images were reported as being negative without abnormality.
Did you perform any other tests?
So he had a physical exam during which the PA and I both did an abbreviated physical exam looking for any signs of injury. We did discuss with the patient a potential x-ray of his ribs because he was having some right-sided chest tenderness. At that time, the patient declined the additional imaging, and I think about that time we closed the encounter.
Did you run any other sort of tests such as blood tests or anything like that?
I would need to refer back. I don't recall.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that as a trick question in any way.
Yes, ma'am. This looks different than the one we usually have. Typically, we will get some screening blood work on patients as well. I don't have that information in the front of my mind. I'll have to review here quickly.
Well, actually, let me just ask perhaps a more precise question. When somebody comes in and self-reports a fall, maybe has some bruising, is there any test that you can do to determine, yes, they have a concussion?
No, ma'am. Unfortunately, a concussion is a clinical diagnosis. It's usually a rule out by testing for other conditions such as skull fractures, bleeding around the brain, things of that nature. When we don't find those, there's not really a good blood test or an imaging test that definitively diagnoses a concussion.
So if I showed up in your ER today and told you I fell, my head hurts, I hit my head, would I be diagnosed with a concussion?
A head injury alone is typically not enough to get a diagnosis of concussion. Usually there are some symptoms that go along with it. I have photophobia, so bright lights bother me, loud noises bother me. Looking at a computer screen or a television is difficult. Sometimes people will complain of difficulty concentrating, nausea, some of those symptoms. So generally it is the combination of a head strike with some other clinical symptoms or complaints that will give a diagnosis of a concussion.
And those symptoms, again, are self-report symptoms.
That's correct.
They're not symptoms that you can actually look at cells or look at imaging and say, yep, you have nausea.
That's correct.
And what was after you did the imaging, what was sort of the take-home plan or continued care plan for Mr. Halderson?
The take-home plan was conservative management. So we generally have patients with mild to moderate concussions managed with Tylenol, ibuprofen, over-the-counter meds. Occasionally we'll give a prescription for an antiemetic or an anti-nausea medication so that they can drink plenty of fluids and stay well hydrated. I believe for this case, the patient had some residual neck pain, so he was given a collar to go home with for support with instruction to follow up with his primary care physician and with the spine team that was on call.
Is it unusual for you to hand out a neck brace or a neck collar with somebody who says, hey, my neck is hurting?
No, ma'am. It is not unusual at all.
Okay. And you said diagnosis of a mild or moderate concussion. What, in this case, did you diagnose Mr. Halderson with?
I believe he was diagnosed as having a mild concussion, and I believe in the notes it reported him as.
So real briefly, deserves a break in this, and it's going to be really, really brief. Shout out to Flex of the Gods, who just learned that they freed him. And I'm so happy to hear that. So I know that he's probably going to be live today. Is he going live today at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? I know he's covering the ASAP Rocky trial along with Cat Not Williams, but Flesh of the Gods is our fam over here. And so we love Flesh, and I am so overjoyed to hear this information. Let me drop his channel emoji in the chat. If you could drop Flesh's link really quick. And I'm going over there, sub up. If you don't know what you're missing, very interactive channel. You get to interact with the screen. All types of things are going on. You get to put a prompt in the chat, and then Flesh gets that prompt, and then he makes whatever you requested will happen on the screen at the time. So we love Flesh over here. Glad that they freed him. He's been in so Ronnie O'Neill really did it. Come on, do Ronnie O'Neill. So anyhow, I'm going to play Flesh of the Gods soundbite, because this is how I feel when I'm in his chat. Yeah, that is how I feel over there. Everything going on and popping up all at once. So yeah, for the concussion, but they also have another medication that they give you. So because I think there's different stages of it. I had a concussion once, and they gave me, because I kept choking in my sleep, so they gave me something to try to offset that. It was crazy, but Chandler didn't fall, so he couldn't have no concussion and all the other stuff that he made up along the way to make his story worse, or make it appear to be like he was on his last leg and he was almost crippled. The crazy he already had. So yeah. So I just wanted to stop here and say shout out to Flesh of the Gods for being released from jail. And we look forward to. Oh, he's going on at 3 p.m. I'm not going to be on that long. Like, I have to go, do things to, it depends on like what's going on in here, and as far as support goes. But if not, I can't be on that long. Not today. I have to. I'm not going to be long. So his link is in the chat. So you can go sub up to Flash. And he's going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is what Child Diggy just put in the chat. So check them out. You'll love it over there. The chat is chill. Like over here, we like to be respectful and chill. So just keep it respectful, and you'll have a great time over there with the interaction.
It's having just a CHI, a closed head injury, so a non-specific diagnosis.
Did you, in his presentation to you, did he state whether or not he had taken anything for the pain he was experiencing?
I do not recall that information off the top of my head. I would have to review the notes.
Do you mind reviewing the notes?
Sure.
Whoa.
So I do not have that information in my addendum.
No different.
You may have reported that information to either the nurse or the PA who saw him, but I did not personally take any of that information.
Okay, thank you. And you said you had provided a neck collar. What instructions, if any, did you give him concerning that neck collar?
Yes, ma'am. So when we have someone with persistent pain but negative imaging, they go home with what's called a PMT collar. It's a soft collar that gives support to the head and the neck. And in general, they're instructed to follow up with their primary care physician and a spine physician if they're continuing to have pain or symptoms, generally in the 4 to 6 week period. I will say that many times patients have improvement of their symptoms before, so they'll self-remove their collars, and they may or may not present later for follow-up.
At any point, did you give Mr. Halderson directions that he had to wear it for a certain amount of time?
I did not specifically give him that information, no.
Okay. At any point in time during your visit with Mr. Halderson, did you tell him he was going to experience paralysis?
No, ma'am.
At any point during your time with Mr. Halderson, did you tell him that he had a brain bleed?
No, ma'am.
At any point during your appointment with Mr. Halderson, did you at any point tell him that he had a brain aneurysm?
No, ma'am.
At any point did you tell him that he had nerve damage?
I don't believe so, no, ma'am.
At any point did you tell him he had a spinal injury?
No, I don't believe so.
At any point did you advise him that he should not fly in an airplane?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him that he should not drive?
I don't believe so, no.
At any point, did you ever say that he shouldn't drive long distances?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him that he had a hematoma in his brain?
No, ma'am, I did not.
At any point, did you tell him that he would have an inability to use his legs in a normal manner?
No, ma'am.
At any point, did you tell him, because of his mild concussion, that he was going to have a colostomy bag?
No, ma'am.
And just to be clear, that's a bag for poop.
That's correct.
At any point in time, did you have to drill a hole into his head?
No, ma'am.
At any point in time, did you tell him that he was going to have surgery where a hole would be drilled in his head?
No, ma'am.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, doctor.
Hello.
I don't have a lapel mic, so I'm just going to stay seated, if that's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you did diagnose Chandler Halderson with a mild concussion, right?
That's correct.
And you can diagnose someone with a concussion even though the imaging didn't show any abnormalities, correct?
That's correct.
When you diagnose someone with a concussion close in time to when the injury or the hit to the brain happens, symptoms can either improve or get worse after that moment in time, correct?
That's correct.
So when they leave the ER, sometimes people get better, sometimes people experience ongoing or more symptoms, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when Mr. Halderson was leaving the ER, he was given a sheet of instructions of things to watch for, correct?
I believe so, yes.
On that sheet would have been things such as blurred vision, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Increasing pain in the head, increasing headaches, correct?
Yes.
Weakness in his extremities, correct?
Yes.
And you wouldn't know whether these things actually happened or not unless the patient reports back to you, correct?
That is correct.
But he would be told to be on alert for these things if they happened, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And to generally rest and avoid stimulation in order to improve his concussion symptoms, correct?
That is correct.
Things like avoid bright lights, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Screens,
Yes.
video games, things like that, correct?
That's correct.
And really, one of the treatments for a concussion is just to sit in a darkened room and really not do anything with your brain, correct?
Rest is generally one of the recommendations, yes.
Now, as a result of his visit, you did prescribe him some medication, correct?
That is correct.
For nausea?
Yes.
And what was that?
It's a medication called ondansetron. It's also known as Zofran. It's an anti-nausea medication.
He had reported feeling like he was going to throw up, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And that's why you would prescribe him that medication.
Yes, ma'am. It's also to help prevent dehydration. So sometimes people will get dehydrated, their headache will get worse. And so we like them to stay hydrated. So sometimes it's a preventative measure as well.
And just to be clear, when someone reports that they have a headache, as Ms. Raymond asked you, there's no test, blood test or something like that can confirm what the person is telling you, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Now, when he presented in the ER that day, wanted to ask you what this means. Patient remains with midline cervical spine tenderness palpation. What do those words mean?
So as part of the physical exam, when we are examining a patient, we will actually press on the spinous process over the middle of their neck. He had tenderness on presentation, which was a big part of the reason why we got the CT scan to begin with. And on reassessment after the negative imaging, we reassessed the patient. He still had persistent pain in the midline there, which is not a direct indicator of an injury, but it does say we should keep the collar on for safety.
And when he left with the collar that day, you testified that there was no set time he was supposed to wear the collar, or you didn't give him a set number of days to wear the collar. Is that right?
I don't believe so, no. The instructions were to follow up with his primary care physician and with our spine doctor.
And that was in 4 to 6 weeks?
Generally, that's the time frame that they recommend. I can't recall specifically for this case, but I generally encourage patients to call if they're continuing to have any symptoms after they go home.
That's it. Thank you.
Redirect.
Just a couple quick questions. Doctor, with self-report symptoms such as nausea or headache, is the information you receive from the patient only as good as the accuracy or honesty of that information?
I'm not sure that I totally follow the question.
Sure. If a patient lies to you and says, my arm hurts or my head hurts, is that information useful to you if it is in fact a lie?
I tend to take my patients at their word. I think that if I get into trying to second guess them, it gets to be, my job gets too complicated. So when patients present symptoms, I generally take them, unless I have something to prove or disprove, I take them at their word.
Sure. But my question is not how you interpret the information. As far as scientifically or medically accurate, is it only valuable in as much as it is true?
Yes, I assume that it's true, and that's how it's medically relevant.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
May the doctor be excused and released?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
You're excused from your subpoena and released from the same.
Okay.
Good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
State calls Catherine Mellinger.
Oh, I'll take those. Thank you.
Hey. You're going to go with that gentleman in the gray coat right there? Doctor? Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear to testimony or about this matter the truth, the whole truth?
I thought this was Catherine.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, good afternoon. Sorry. Ms. Melander, first, let me ask you, because I was preoccupied, I didn't hear. Did you verbally answer yes to the oath?
Yes.
Thank you. Secondly, are you in a position where
So this is Chandler's ex-girlfriend. What up, Chat Clouds? What up, FFS? Miss University with Marie said good morning, FFS. I think you missed that. Tat not Clouds. Oh my goodness. Tat Clouds. Good morning. Good morning. So this is Chandler's ex-girlfriend that's on the stand. I feel so bad for her. She was hoodwinked and bamboozled by Chandler. So yeah, this is her. She's on the stand. I think she's gonna keep her mask on because this is embarrassing. Hurtful. She's still like, going through it. She doesn't know how to feel. And so yeah, she's here to testify. She did an interview. She did an interview after this where she took her mask off, so we were able to see her. All right, thank you so much.
you believe you can safely and responsibly testify without wearing a mask?
No.
You need to wear your mask in order to believe you can protect yourself from the virus and
Yes.
the safety concerns. All right, then I won't force you to take off your mask if you believe that is true.
Thank you.
All right.
You work in the healthcare field, do you not?
I do.
Okay.
Could you please state and spell your name for us?
Catherine Melander, Cathryn, Melander, Mellender.
And you grab the base of the microphone and pull it really close because the fans are on. That creates a level of noise. Your voice is on the softer side, and you have a mask, so being up really close to it will make sure we can all hear. Thank you.
You go by Kat, correct?
Correct.
Can I call you Kat today?
Yes, please.
Okay. Kat, how old are you?
I'm 21 years of age.
And do you live here in the Madison area?
I do live in the Madison area.
Okay. And do you know someone named Chandler Halderson?
I do.
How do you know Chandler?
We were in a relationship.
Okay. At this point, something's going to happen. The judge is going to ask everyone out here to lower their mask, and I'm going to ask you if you see Chandler in the courtroom. It's one of the strange things we're going to do. So the judge will go.
Don't say anything until everybody has remasked. If everyone can lower their masks for a count of 3, 1, everybody within the courtroom, except in the jury box, 1, 2, 3, replace your masks.
Is Chandler in the room here today?
Yes.
Can you tell me where he's sitting and describe what he's wearing?
It's over there with a blue tie and a blazer.
And that's direct reflect identification of the defendant.
It shall, thank you.
When did you first begin your relationship with Chandler?
In August 2019.
And how did you meet?
We met through a friend.
What was Chandler, what was going on in his life when you first met? What was he doing in his life?
He was attending college. He was living at home and preparing to move into an apartment. Dog sitting quite often.
And where were you in life? What were you up to when you first met back in 2019?
When I first met Chandler, I was going to school as well, part of Student Senate, doing shows in the theater department.
What types of things did you and Chandler do in your relationship? Did you go on a lot of dates together?
Yeah, we would grab dinners, have movie dates, just sit at home and watch movies, go on walks quite often, play with the dogs. That was a big thing. We loved playing Frisbee with the dogs. Start shows together.
Sure. Around 2019 and 2020, and then obviously into this year a little bit, or the last year, 2021, how would you and Chandler communicate with each other? Just by calling each other, or were there other things too?
We would talk on Snapchat, text, FaceTime, and call quite often.
Okay. Would you also, so it's text, Snapchat, call, FaceTime? Mm-hmm. Would sometimes you start communicating about a subject on one and then switch to another and then switch back?
Yes.
Fair to say you communicated or you texted a lot with Chandler.
Yes.
And you've seen in this case, probably at some point, printouts of even just a couple of days of your text messages, which are hundreds of pages long, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any sort of relationship with Chandler's family?
Yes.
Let's start with his brother, Mitchell. Did you know Mitchell?
I did know Mitchell.
Tell me about your relationship with Mitchell.
I would hang out with him at the family events, be it like a dinner or for the holidays. We had a game night at his home once with Caitlin and Chandler and myself. Usually see him during family events.
What about, let's start with Bart. Did you have a relationship, or how did you know Bart Halderson?
I knew Mr. Halderson through Chandler. I would be at their home quite often, and he would show me fishing tips, or if I was cooking, him and Mrs. Halderson would be in the kitchen, and we would have game nights quite often. And we would also play Mario Kart together a lot.
Okay.
I haven't heard you.
What about Krista? Could you tell me about your relationship with Krista Halderson?
Mrs. Halderson and I, we would text often about what we're doing in our lives and talk about the dogs and Chandler, and like we would talk about recipes and food we want to try, and if I was cooking them something from my culture, she would always be excited and we talk about it, and always talk about game nights and wanting to do a girls trip to Disneyland together with her, I and Caitlin.
You texted often with Ms. Halderson?
Yes, I did.
Positive relationship, good relationship?
Yeah,
Did you like her?
I did like Miss Halderson a lot.
Did you like Mr. Halderson?
Yes, I did.
You were over at the Halderson home quite a bit,
Very often, yes.
and that's over in Windsor, Oak Spring Circle?
Yes.
That's fine. I'll sure. Whereabouts?
questions.
We'll withdraw the question and I'll ask it again. Whereabouts did the Haldersons live?
They lived in Windsor, past that big church. I don't know the road of it, but it was past a big church, right by a pond.
When you were over at the house, did you mostly stick in one spot, or did you kind of treat it like your own home, go wherever you needed to go?
I would go wherever I needed to go within reason.
Back in June of this year, just before maybe everything that we're going to talk about happened, were you over at the Halderson home and had an occasion to maybe go in the basement?
Yes.
Why did you go in the basement while you were over there?
I went to the basement to grab ice cream and soda to make root beer floats with Mr. and Mrs. Halderson and Chandler.
And this is sometime in, when is it?
June.
Okay. And why were you going to the basement to grab those items? Where were they in the basement?
They were in the basement in the freezer.
Okay. The Haldersons had a freezer in the basement?
Two.
There's leading questions going on.
I'll sustain. Go ahead and phrase carefully.
Tell me about what freezers the Haldersons had.
They had a chest freezer and then a tall one, kind of like a fridge, but it was just a freezer.
And did you have an occasion ever to go in the chest freezer?
Yes.
And what types of things were in there?
Mostly fish, specifically salmon, veggies. Sometimes they'd keep ice bags in there.
Was it full?
Yes.
The other freezer, did you have occasions to go in that on occasion?
Just once.
And was it being used in full?
Yes.
Is there a screen on in front of you right now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit 21 has been received into evidence in this case. I think we went too far, Judge. There was a happy medium there in a second. Well, that's what he discussed.
Yeah, is the Elmo on?
There we go. There's a little bit of a glare on that, but is that look to be the Halderson's basement or something else?
Yes, it's the Halderson basement.
And that chest freezer that's open right there, is that the chest freezer that you'd been in previously?
Yes.
And was it full when you saw it in June?
Yes.
Was it sitting like that open when you saw it last?
No.
Was it in that general location when you saw it last?
Yes.
In your relationship with Chandler, was there a lot of discussion about money?
Yes.
Was it important to you that whoever you were dating have a job or going to school or something?
Yes.
Can you tell me why that would be important?
Just think being self-sufficient. It's either in school or working.
As far as you knew, in 2020 and this year even, 2021, let's say the spring of last year, was Chandler going to school?
Yes.
Did he talk about that with you?
Yes.
What did you know about where Chandler was going to school and what he was doing?
He was taking classes online through MITC for UW, and it was for an IT degree.
Would Chandler talk a lot about school with you?
Often.
What kind of things would you talk about?
When we'd have tests or homework that we were doing.
Going in this year, did he ever show you any sort of like work he was doing for school, any projects, things like that,
He showed me some coding he was doing once.
for a class? You said he was going online. Did Chandler ever physically go there as far as you knew? For a class?
I don't remember.
This spring, going into the summer, prior to everything happening, did you believe Chandler was going to MATC?
Yes.
Did you ever see his grades? Did he ever share his grades with you or transcripts or anything like that?
No, he didn't show me.
Do you know how close he was to graduating?
One class away, I believed.
Did you and Chandler ever talk about him working with the police at all, with scuba diving or anything like that?
With the DNR.
Sure. Tell me about that.
He told me he would scuba dive for the DNR and then sometimes help out the police through the DNR.
Did he say what he would do for them, like specifically?
Scuba diving, look into lakes for stuff.
Was this like a job or a volunteer thing? What was your understanding from Chandler?
I believe it was a job.
And did he have this throughout the time you were dating?
During the summer.
Were there ever times where Chandler would go to that job, as far as you knew, or need to schedule time to be there?
Yes.
How would that come up?
He would just tell me he had to be on call days and we couldn't hang out those days, or he would only have select time to hang out or else he'd be on call.
So there'd be times you couldn't hang out because he'd say he was on call?
Mm-hmm.
How often would that come up in your relationship?
I don't remember.
But it came up?
It did.
Did you ever see Chandler with any sort of scuba diving equipment, oxygen tanks, those flippers that people put on, anything like that?
No.
Did you believe he worked at this dive team job back at that time?
Yes.
At some points in the past year and a half or so, did Chandler get a job with American Family Insurance?
Yes.
And what did Chandler tell you about that, or what did you know about what he was doing?
That it was an internship to help graduate through school, and he'd be doing stuff with solar panels and laying up plans for companies going through American Family and such.
So an internship, was it eventually a job or something else, like where he got paid?
A paid internship, I believe.
Okay. Did he ever show you any of his work that he was working on?
He showed me a plan on a whiteboard that he was drawing up.
When you say a whiteboard, what do you mean by that?
Like a whiteboard that you hang up in your home or see in school.
Okay. And what was on that whiteboard that he was showing you, if you remember?
A building and where they wanted to place the solar panels and how it was by a highway, so it would be a safety hazard for the direction they wanted to point it in because of the angle the sun could be blinding the drivers.
Okay. Did he seem excited about this project when he was talking to you about it?
Yes.
Okay. Did Chandler have any issues with pay at American Family Insurance and getting his paychecks?
Yes.
Tell me what you know about that from Chandler.
That there was something going on with who American Family would go through for payment, that the check went to the wrong address and then it had to be canceled, and then he tried setting up for direct deposit and something happened with that, and then the amount that they had to pay him was too much, so they didn't believe they owed some of that amount of money, and then it just wasn't getting to him.
Because of this issue or maybe others, were there times in your relationship where it didn't seem like Chandler had a lot of money?
Yes.
When you all went out to get food or something along those lines, would it be more common for you to pay or for him to pay, or how would that work?
For me to pay.
One second. I'll tell you. Yeah. You might not have some specific dates, and that's totally okay, but do you know approximately kind of the time period Chandler was working at American Family Insurance?
I believe January until the spring.
Kind of the same question as before, the MATC and ask you about transcripts. Regarding American Family Insurance, did you ever see any documents, pay stubs, contracts, HR stuff, anything with like the logo of American Family kind of around Chandler or in his bedroom or anything like that?
I did not.
And in that time period you were dating, 2020 and 2021, while he said he had this job, did you believe he was working at American Family Insurance?
Yes, I did.
Okay. At some point going into 2021, so just last year before the summer, did it appear that Chandler had gotten a new job or was in the process of getting a new job?
Yes.
And where was that job at?
What up, what up, what up? We got Queen Slime in the building. What up, Cat Not Williams? She said, Cat has nice hair. All right, if you're not subbed up to Queen Slime, what are you doing? Cat Not Williams will be live following the ASAP Rocky trial, as well as Flesh of the Gods. Two great content creators, very supportive of this channel. So go and sub up to Cat Not Williams if you're not already. Because what are you doing?
The company or the location?
What was the company?
SpaceX.
Okay. So what's going to happen now is the attorneys and I are going to talk to the judge for 1 second. So some weird white noise is going to come on. Be a good second to take a drink of water if you want. But it's going to be about 1 minute, okay?
We're not doing any white noise. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, but we need to just get past this because, like I said today, I'm on a time limit. You gotta stick to that. Let's see if we can get past this white noise and get back to. I feel so bad for her. Like, this guy is a piece. Oh, okay. So they're back. Let me bring it back over before I hit play and don't. Y'all, and nothing is on the screen. I do that often. So here we go. Let's go.
You'll work at SpaceX.
He mentioned it while we were on a call.
Did you have an interview?
Yes.
Okay. I want to show you what's been marked as in this case as exhibits 506. But I want you to look at that for a second. And just quickly, you'll notice we've redacted some things. You've seen this type of exhibit before, correct?
Correct.
And we've redacted your
What up,
background. Is
what
that
up?
not?
Yes.
Okay. Chandler saved in your phone
What up,
as
what
kind
up?
of a name. What is that name?
Hubby.
And that's just something you would call him.
Yes.
Okay. But are these messages with Chandler and you? It looks like back in May of this year.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the first one that Chandler says?
I have a good feeling about SpaceX.
Okay. I'll move 506 into evidence.
Any objection?
Subject to what was said on the record.
It is received.
Come on that screen, okay? So we're going to talk about some of them. Just real quick, because it's the first one that we're going to do that looks like this. Your phone was taken by the police and downloaded in the course of this investigation, correct?
Correct.
So we're going to try to get the lighting just right, and that might be the trick right there. So in the blue here, that's Chandler, correct?
Correct.
I have a good feeling about SpaceX, and if we're looking at it, the date on these messages is down there. It's also right there, but this one I'll read out loud just because it's a bit hard to see. We're at the 23rd of May of 2020. You say, I'm proud of you. What does Chandler say there?
Thanks. I hope I get a job.
And you say, me too. In general, were you hoping Chandler got this job?
Yes.
Why?
He seemed excited about it. A lot of pay.
A lot of pay. Did Chandler ever tell you how much money he'd be making at SpaceX?
Around 800,000.
800,000?
Sorry, I apologize. 80,000.
80,000? Okay. So after you say me too, we're still on the 23rd, he says, I'll be happy. And you respond, I'll be very happy for you too. You get the money you want, the job you want, right? You were happy for him.
Correct.
You talked a little bit, and we're going to flip through some of these that maybe aren't super relevant. As we talked about, you texted a lot. But you're talking about the location and the money, and Chandler says, can you read that one for us?
But I'll be happy with money.
And you say maybe they'll transfer you in a couple years. Was there any discussion about that around that time?
Yes.
And what was that discussion about? Maybe transferring or where this job was?
The job was in Florida.
And that would take you to Florida as well?
Correct.
Okay. Was it your intention to move with Chandler?
Yes.
And on May 24th, he sends you this message. What does it say?
I have a follow-up interview for Florida tomorrow.
And as that kind of approached, on the 25th now of May, you're saying, tell me, kind of in an exaggerated fashion, but just tell me what's going on.
Yes.
And what does Chandler say?
Shoot, sorry, I got the job.
And you say, congratulations. You have a discussion about the job in general, and eventually Chandler, the same day, 25th, what does he say to you?
I have training next week over the computer, and I leave June 11th and start on June 14th.
You and Chandler discuss, perhaps, I think you said that you were going to move with him eventually, right?
Correct.
Was it going to be right away, or were you going to wait a couple weeks?
Wait a couple weeks.
And what does Chandler text you on the 25th?
I'll come back every other weekend, hon.
And what else?
And I can send you money till your lease is up and you move in with me.
The text messages that day end with Chandler sending you a couple messages. Can you read the first one?
If you're positive you want to be with me for the long run.
Was that in relation to you moving with him?
Yes.
And he says, what last?
Because if you're not, then I don't think you should.
Did the topic of you and Chandler moving to Florida, was that like something you talked about a lot?
Yes.
Were you excited about that?
Yes.
Did you tell your family?
Yes.
Did you tell your friends?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked in this case. Exhibit number 507. Can you tell me what that is?
A screenshot of the SpaceX location in Florida.
And was this taken off your phone?
Yes.
Why'd you take that screenshot?
I was curious about the location of the company.
Okay. What's exhibit number 508?
A screenshot from Zillow of homes in Titusville, Florida.
And it's a screenshot, but there's something else in that screenshot in the top right corner. What is that?
Chandler?
How does this happen? This is on your phone, you're taking a screenshot?
Yes.
Are you FaceTiming at this time?
Yes.
And are you looking up, what are you looking up there?
Homes for sale.
In Titusville, Florida?
Yes.
I'll show you from marked as exhibit 509. What's that?
A pool.
And was this another one of the homes you were looking up?
Yes.
When you took these screenshots, when you were FaceTiming with your boyfriend at the time, Did you believe that you were possibly going to be moving to Florida and maybe buying a home or renting an apartment, things of that sort?
Yes.
Fair to say these homes you were looking at weren't cheap either.
No.
Did you think you'd be having some money available to you?
Yes.
All right, I'll move 507, 508, 509 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
They are received. They may be published.
Just briefly, this is exhibit number 507. I just showed you. This is what we were talking about when we said that you took a screenshot of just where SpaceX was.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know prior to Chandler talking about it that they had a location in Florida?
No.
Okay. Exhibit number 508. We're looking at a $699,000 home in Florida, and you're kind of on the phone with Chandler. And is this what a FaceTime looks like when you're kind of browsing other apps while you're on FaceTime?
Yes.
And so is that Chandler in the top right?
Yes.
Were you talking to him about this at the time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you exhibit 509. Here we're looking at a pool of another home. Is that Chandler in the top right?
Yes.
And same thing, you were talking to him about moving to Florida.
Yes.
What kind of conversations did you personally have? Not what other people said, but what were you telling your family, your mom, your brother about the plan?
Chandler would move down to Florida and start working. I would go at the end of August after my lease ended. And I celebrated my birthday in Madison. And Titusville isn't too far from where Disneyland is. And I was looking at pharmacy schools in Florida as well.
Did you talk to your friends about this plan?
Yes.
Was there any discussion of transportation or cars or things like that once you got down to Florida?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Chandler had a car lined up for when he got down there already, and I was going to drive my car down.
Did you ever invite your friends that were close to you and say, like, hey, you can come down and visit when we're down there?
Yes.
What kind of things did you talk to them about doing?
Going to Disneyland, Universal Studios, going fishing.
I think we saw in one of those prior texts that the SpaceX job is supposed to begin mid-June. Was that your understanding of the timing?
Yes.
Around the time it was supposed to start, did something happen that caused a delay?
Yes.
What happened?
Mitch went to the hospital.
Chandler's brother? And he testified and told everyone kind of about it. But in general, what was your understanding of what was going on?
His sugar levels were very high, and he had to be there for a couple days.
What did he tell you anything about whether that was going to delay SpaceX or what the relationship between those two things are, Mitchell's illness and SpaceX?
He didn't want to leave while Mitch was ill.
Mitch was in the hospital for a couple days?
Yes.
At that point, did Chandler tell you or did you know of any time he was supposed to now start SpaceX?
I don't remember.
Was it delayed?
Yes.
After Mitchell's hospitalization, did anything else happen that caused the delay in SpaceX?
I ended up going to the urgent care as well, and then Chandler fell.
Chandler was in the hospital.
Yes.
What did you know about Chandler falling?
He was running and slipped down the stairs, and then fell pretty hard and hit his head.
Did Chandler talk to you about his injury?
Yes.
What kind of symptoms was he reporting that he was feeling after that fall?
Tingles in his legs, sensitivity to light, severe headaches, weakness.
Was Chandler able to physically do normal things around that time?
No.
What do you mean by that?
He had a hard time lifting things and quite often would get lightheaded.
Did he carry heavy things from what you observed or knew?
No.
Did he drive long distances, things of that sort?
No.
Was he able to travel?
No.
Why do you know that, or why do you say that?
Because of the head injury and wearing the neck brace.
I'll show you a couple exhibits marked 511. Tell me what 511 is.
Chandler in the emergency room.
Okay.
Oh, what up? What up? What up? Fam. Flesh of the Gods is in the building, dropping 5 memberships. Flesh, I appreciate you so much. Flesh is free, as I announced this morning. Flesh is free. So we are overjoyed. So shout out to Ronnie O'Neill, his attorney, who represented him in his case here on YouTube. And got him free. I underestimated you, Ronnie O'Neill, and I apologize. Maybe you went in there and got aggressive, and they got scared. All right. So, if you just received a membership from Flesh of the Gods, please tell them thank you. Please add them, because we like to make sure we personally recognize a person that is so gracious enough to give memberships to the channel. So Blue Black, you got a membership from Flesh. Please say thank you. We have Angela Adams, you got a membership from Flesh. Please say thank you. Kimberly, you got a membership from Flesh of the Gods. Please say thank you. We got Pam Entertainment TV with a gifted membership from Flesh. Please say thank you. And we have Chandler Hargrove, or just say Miss MF. Okay, Miss. All right then, Miss MF and Hargrove. So please thank Flesh of the Gods. Add him. Please drop his emoji in the chat. He has a channel emoji. It is the GOAT. And drop some umbrellas. If you're not a member to the channel, drop some umbrellas in the chat. It's a regular emoji. And I'm so overjoyed, Flesh, that you are finally free, and you get to go on and just go ahead and reap all the benefits. Thank you so much for showing the channel love and always being so supportive of your Girl Survivors Speaks. And so, yeah, we have a little something on play for Flesh for the membership. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the super chat or membership. I love you all.
So in Survivor, we do trust. Drop some Survivor bucks down in the chat as well. And Flesh, thank you, like I said, for all of your support. And shout out to you for being free. Shout out to Ronnie O'Neill, because I underestimated you, bro. But you did your thing. And I wish I had a sound bite and clip up of Ronnie O'Neill so you can see who his attorney was and what he was working with. But I'm sure if you go over there and subscribe to Flesh of the Gods, I'm sure his link is in the chat. I'm sure one of the mods dropped the link in the chat. He's probably going to pay homage to Ronnie O'Neill today. So I'm sure he will have that. He will have Ronnie O'Neill on the screen. So shout out to Flesh. Thank you, Flesh.
And kind of got his hat over his head there.
Yes.
Who sent you? Did you see this photo eventually?
Yes.
How'd you get that photo?
It was sent to me.
Do you know who sent it to you?
I believe it was Chandler or his mother.
What's 512?
Chandler with Mr. Halderson and Mitch during the Father's Day brunch.
He's wearing the collar there.
Yes.
513, another photo of Chandler in the collar.
Yes.
Move 5, 11, 12, and 13 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are received. They may be published.
Thank you, Judge. Just so we're all looking at the same thing, you said this is a photograph that was sent to you, Chandler, in the hospital, 511. Correct?
Correct.
Sorry, we got to do it twice, kind of, that's how it works. 512, photograph of, that's Chandler on the left side, correct?
Correct.
And in the middle, is that Mr. Halderson?
Correct.
And on the right, is that Mitchell?
Correct.
And that's, where is that photo taken, do you know?
In the living room by the kitchen.
In 513, another photograph of Chandler wearing that neck brace.
Correct.
What were you aware of in terms of like what the prognosis was for his injuries? Like what was going to happen to him or what was going on?
He had a concussion, light sensitivity, and tingling in his legs.
Was it going to get better?
Miss Universal.
I guess I'm kind of going to object. I need to use my...
I'll withdraw the question, the defense object. Did Chandler tell you if he was going to get better or the symptoms were improving around that time?
No.
Was there any discussion about how the concussion and the injury was going to affect SpaceX?
He wouldn't be able to travel down there.
Tell me about anything you remember about that type of discussion.
Can you be more specific, please?
Yeah. What did Chandler specifically tell you about why he couldn't travel?
Because he was wearing the neck brace and he had a concussion, so he shouldn't be flying.
Same question as before about American Family and MATC. Did you ever see anything around Chandler's room, on his phone, any documents, records with the SpaceX or Tesla logo or anything like that?
No.
Talk a little bit about houses and things of that sort. Were you aware at any point if Chandler had rented an apartment?
Yes.
And tell me about that.
It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and he put a down payment for it. And there's a little dog park, so I could bring my dog Chewbacca down.
Okay. How did you know about this apartment?
Chandler sent me a link
Did he tell you whether he was just looking at it or if he had actually rented it?
that he rented it.
Did you yourself see a lease of any sort?
No.
Did you ever sign a lease?
No.
Is your only connection with this apartment is looking at the listing that was sent to you?
Correct.
We're going to start talking about events starting on June 30th and kind of all the way through July 8th at this point. And I think I'm going to let some of your messages guide our conversation, so I'm going to be walking back and forth quite a bit. But to show you what's been marked in this case is exhibit number 514. Just briefly, could you just page through that and tell us kind of what dates these text messages are from?
They're all on June 30th?
June 30th of 2021, right?
Correct.
All right. And these are the messages between you and Chandler?
Correct.
I'll move 514 into evidence.
Any objection?
I'll bring up the same objection from the sidebar, but otherwise, no.
All right. And based upon the same ruling, they are received and they may be shown.
I'm going to start showing them, and I'm going to ask for some context because we're picking up, obviously, in the middle of thousands of pages of messages, maybe. But the first message is a message from you. To be honest, it's getting to the point where I want to text your mom directly. What was this about on June 30th, 3:18 in the afternoon?
About him being grounded and not being able to see me or hang out.
What was your understanding at that time of what was going on from Chandler? What did he tell you? He was grounded?
Yes.
Okay. Were you wanting to see him?
Yes.
And what did he tell you about whether he could see you or not?
He couldn't
Because of what?
because I wasn't allowed over.
You communicated with Krista a lot, right?
Yes.
When you say that, was Chandler telling you that, or did you actually hear that from Krista or Bart?
From Chandler.
Okay. And you say, it's getting to the point where I want to text your mom directly. And Chandler says, can you read that for me?
It's fine, D. That'll only piss them off more.
And what does he say?
This weekend will be great.
That weekend was the 4th of July weekend coming up, right?
Correct.
You say, now we're still June 30th, we're about 3:19 in the afternoon, you say, okay. And he says what?
Thanks, though.
And then on June 30th, you send this message next. What does that say?
We're not going to the cabin, right?
So in the realm of messages, where the cabin, the first time the jury's seeing that, how did this come up, or what was going on where you sent this message?
I was under the impression that Mr. and Mrs. Halderson were going up to the cabin for the 4th of July weekend.
Was that conversations or like over the phone or in person you'd had with Chandler, or was that?
Over the phone.
Okay. And you ask, we're not going to the cabin, are we? What does Chandler say?
No.
You say, I can ask if we can go to the farm, right?
Correct.
And that ended up coming to fruition, you did that.
Yes.
You read that last message you sent?
That way we can say my mom can care for you since they have a lot of stuff here that they use for Mike and Papa.
Your mom and Cress testified. Who are Mike and Papa in general, and what did that mean that there was stuff there for them?
Mike is Cress's brother, and Papa is her father. Papa is elderly. He is over 90 years of age. And Mike is wheelchair bound and needs help going to the restroom. And overall, my mom helps take care of them.
Okay. What kind of stuff were you talking about that there was stuff there?
Walkers. If he needed one of those stools that you put over the toilet so an elderly person can sit down or they don't have to squat so low since it's hard for their knees.
Was it your impression that Chandler would be assisted by some of those things?
No.
Why did you say that there was stuff there for them?
So we'd be able to hang out since his mom was very concerned about his injury.
The next day, Thursday, July 1st, you worked that day?
Can you repeat the date?
Sure, Thursday, July 1st, so before the 4th of July weekend.
Correct.
You have a normal job, normal type of hours, right?
Correct.
Weekdays.
Correct.
Okay, hopefully just weekdays, right? Showing you what's been marked is exhibit number 516. And I know it might be in a different form than usual, but in general, do you have an idea of what that is?
Yes.
What is that?
Snapchat messages.
And who are they with?
Chandler.
And Chandler's To the best you can, I know these are people make up names, but what was Chandler's Snapchat name?
Chazzle Dazzle.
Chazzle Dazzle. And significant parts of this are redacted out. In the course of sending Snapchat, sometimes you send, just in general, people are sending pictures back and forth, and part of what we've done in this case is just redact any photographs that we really thought we could, right?
Correct.
I kept one on, though, just to prove that's you, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is 516 Snapchat messages between July 1st and July 7th between you and Chandler?
Correct.
Right, I'll move 516 into evidence.
Any objection?
Same objection as the text messages.
Same ruling that it is received, may be published.
I need you to tell us about Snapchat. I don't know what everyone's understanding is. Everyone's of different ages. Some people have a Snapchat, some people don't. Just in general, what is Snapchat?
Snapchat is a social media app where you can send photos with titles, or you can send messages through the chat part of the app.
And what is one of the features of Snapchat that it's primarily known for that text messages maybe aren't?
They aren't generally saved.
They delete, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a way to manually save messages or photos on Snapchat?
Yes.
And is it easy or is it hard?
I find it easy.
What do you do?
You hold down the text and you select save.
And if you save the message, if you're communicating right now with Snapchat with one of your friends and they send you a snap, if you click on it and look and do nothing, that message will delete, right?
Sometimes.
Okay. But if you could manually save it, right? By putting your finger down and saving it.
Correct. Or if you change the settings to delete within 24 hours.
Sometimes when you snap with Chandler, one or both of you would save the messages.
Correct.
And those messages are what we're looking at here, right?
Correct.
Okay. Would you say Snapchat is your primary form of communication with Chandler?
One of them.
So I'm going to display 516, and we'll start going through some things here in a second. But we left one photograph on just to prove that's you, right?
Correct.
Okay. We'll redact the rest, and for obvious reasons, we don't want everything coming out. But on July 1st of 2021 at 7:11, you get a message, right, from Chandler?
Correct.
What does it say?
How do you sleep?
And you say, I slept good. How did you sleep? And how does he respond?
I hardly slept.
Okay. He gives you kind of an emoji face. You say, I'm sorry, B. Why? Can you read Chandler's message back to you after you say why?
I don't know. Stuff hasn't really been going well for me lately, so I'm trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over.
Okay. After that, Chandler sends another message, and we'll try to get it in the right spot. And can you read that?
Yeah, I just had a bright future planned and it's falling apart.
And you say, no, it's not. You're going to be okay. You reassure him, right?
Correct.
You respond, you're going to go to Florida. You even said it's probably just the brace, right?
Correct.
He says, thanks. You say, of course, I love you, and I'm here to keep your booty in check.
Correct.
Now we're up to 7:55 in the morning. Right after you say that, what does Chandler say back to you?
There's a bit of a glare.
Sure.
Thank you. Will you leave me even if it doesn't work? Worded bad, but you understand.
You respond, no, I wouldn't. And he says,
I won't stop trying.
you say, like, Florida would be so dope and like nice, but I'm not dating you for money. I love you tons.
Correct.
What does he say?
I love you a ton too. By the way, I'm not giving up. I'm just worried.
You say, don't worry, love. Don't be worried, love. It'll work out.
Correct.
And he says, thank you, B. You say, of course. Now we're up to 8:30. He says, you helped me a ton. Right?
Correct.
Other than these messages, these Snapchat messages that morning, were you and Chandler communicating by phone or anything else around 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning on July 1st of 2021 that you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now that's a weekday, and I think you were working that day.
Correct.
About what time do you go to work?
8:30 since I was working close.
And if you had to work at 8:30, is that what time you would leave or what time you'd get there?
I have to be clocked in by 8:30.
What time would you have to leave where you're staying then to get to work by 8:30?
Around 8 o'clock, 8:10.
When you're at work, I think we all maybe send an occasional message or two, but are you frequently on your phone a lot at work or only when you just have a second?
When I have a minute.
Okay. Do you have a busy job?
I do.
Okay. At some point that day, you and Chandler switch back to texting as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked in this case is exhibit number 515. Just look at a message. Can you tell me what date these messages are?
July 1st, 2021.
All right. And this appear to be a couple pages of text messages between you two?
Correct.
All right. I'll move 515 into evidence.
Any objection other than standing objection?
No.
They are received. and they may be published.
Maybe try one more light on, Judge. We'll see if we can't get this. That's worse than ever. Oh, there we go. All right. Can you see that cat or no?
Correct, I can.
Okay. I'm going to try on my end to fix things up a little bit. Starts with just you talking, and eventually there's a message from Chandler on the 1st at 1:02 p.m. And I'll move it down so it's out of the light. But can you tell me what that message says?
Sorry, forgot to tell you, but Mom did okay you hanging out with us all weekend.
Sorry, and I think I said Chandler. I meant you. Right. Did you send that message or did Chandler?
I did.
Okay. Your mom okayed you guys hanging out.
Correct.
Was that at the farm and things like that?
Correct.
Chandler responds, awesome. And what do you say back to him?
Yeah, so convince your parents hard.
And that was at 1:03 on the 1st. What did you mean by that, convince your parents hard?
I meant to convince his parents to let us hang out.
Why would he need to convince his parents based on what you knew at the time? What was going on?
He wasn't able to hang out around that time.
And then at 1:03, just after that, Chandler sends you a message. What does that say?
I overheard that they might go to the cabin with their friends, but IDK.
So that was kind of following up on the possibility of the cabin from yesterday on the 30th. There's kind of more conclusive.
Correct.
Okay. What time did you get off work? What time did you get off work generally? Or if you know what time did you get off that day?
5 o'clock.
When you get home that day, do you remember what you did?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you and Chandler FaceTime a lot?
Yes.
Kind of a weird question, but I have to ask. Did you sometimes FaceTime when you guys were showering?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes you take screenshots of Chandler.
Yes.
You took a lot of screenshots on your phone, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you it's been marked in this case. 517, is that one of those screenshots?
Yes.
Did you take that night, sometime after you got home from work, while FaceTiming with Chandler?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move 517 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's not a nude photograph, too. I'll note for court.
Oh, you sorry?
It's above the waist.
Oh, understood. It is received, maybe published.
And just briefly, that's kind of the FaceTime setup, but that's Chandler. And the background, does that appear to be the shower at the Halderson home?
Yes.
Okay. They have a big shower in that house.
Yes.
And it's Chandler looking into his phone and you snap the screenshot.
Heard it?
You snap that screenshot?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any plans to hang out with Chandler that night as far as you remember?
Not that night.
Okay. But you were communicating a lot?
Correct.
Later that night, at some point, Judge, if you could turn the lights on just briefly for the witness. Here's some additional messages. Around 8:30 at night, Chandler sends you a couple of messages. Could you there's one with an emoji, but could you read out the two that have text?
Baby, I need you.
Baby, I need you.
Yes.
Did you know what that was in reference to?
I don't recall.
And later, there's discussion of him looking at your Snapchat location and wondering where you were.
Correct.
Okay. And I think I said 8, but it's in military time, so that would be 6:30-ish or so. Okay.
Which exhibit were those in, counsel?
Sure. It was referencing Exhibit 516.
Thank you.
So around 6:30 or so, when Chandler sends you the message, baby, I need you, do you recall talking to him after that, verbally, on the phone?
I don't recall.
Now, we talked, I think I mentioned something about Snapchat locations. Does another feature of Snapchat have anything to do with your location?
Can you repeat that?
Is there a location feature on Snapchat with your friends that you can look at their location?
Correct, yes.
Can you tell us about that?
You can select certain friends to view your location, or anyone who is on your friends list can view it.
In your and Chandler's relationship, was that something you did with each other?
Correct.
And was it reciprocal? Both of you did that?
Correct.
When this was going on during your relationship, was it your intention that anytime you'd open Snapchat, you'd, in theory, be able to see exactly where he was?
Correct.
And him the same for you?
Correct.
Were you aware at all of what Chandler's plans were the night of the 1st, when you were either FaceTiming while he was in the shower or any conversation? Did he talk at all about what he was doing that night?
That he would be taking care of the dogs and he's going to make dinner.
Did he mention, or do you recall if he said anything about where his plans were on that day?
He said they were doing a grocery pickup. May I have a break?
You may.
This is a good time to take a break. I think we can. We're approaching, I try to do them every 90 minutes, and we're pretty close to that. And sometimes the after lunch break can come a little bit earlier and be wise. So let's take 10 minutes, both for the jury and for the witness and the parties. Randy? All right, the jury.
Good morning, Touche. This case is from 2021. We're doing a rewind. It's a case about Chandler Halderson. Everything about his life is a lie. Um, and I'm going to just speed right past the break. Everything about his life is a lie. And he unlocked his parents and took the town on a wild goose chase. So today is the last day of this. We're going to be watching certain witnesses, and then we are moving on from here. I'm sorry, we're moving on from here and then going to a current case. We're going to be covering a current case. So after that, after today, we're going to be moving on to something else. So that's about the gist of or what's going on with this case. It's pretty interesting because I think the only truth that Chandler told was that his name is Chandler Halderson, and everything else is a lie. So what is going on with this? I'm trying to move this over. You know, it's not. Maybe I can do it now. Oh yeah. All right. So we're going to continue with his Chandler's ex-girlfriend, Kat Melander on the stand. Yeah, it is. He did a lot. So every time he thought it wasn't going to get any crazier, it did. So we're going to actually move on to after we see. I wanted to see her testimony, and I wanted to see today, and I also wanted to see he served 2 life sentences. Yep. Thank you for that FFS in the chat. So I also wanted to see possibly the testimony, because they're really quick testimonies. They had to call the counselor in from school, and they called the someone in from HR from the American Family, where he said he worked. He didn't go. I think he went to 1 semester of and flunked out, and then he never went back. But he created these emails that he was emailing his father back and forth as the school and as American. The job that he was at, and so yeah, he's pretty wild. So yeah.
Kat, is it okay if I call you Kat?
Yes.
I just have a couple questions for you, so I won't.
Not Kat, not William. She's not Kat.
We
not
saw a lot
William.
of screenshots and pictures that you provided law enforcement. It's not unusual for you to take screenshots and have a lot of pictures of your activities, correct?
Mookie, what up?
And we're just focusing on a particular time frame, but as far as photographs and screenshots, that's about what you do any other month, any other week, correct?
Correct.
I want to take you back to the Halderson household for a little bit. You've probably been there about at least a dozen times. Is that fair?
Yes.
Probably more. So you're familiar with the layout of the home?
Yes.
And you're probably familiar with how the Haldersons kept the home.
Yes.
So you're familiar with the fact that they didn't have an AC unit, correct?
Correct.
And this summer was particularly hot, correct?
Correct.
So when you were around during the summer, it wasn't unusual for them to have their windows open.
Not unusual at all.
They were also doing renovations around that time, correct?
Correct.
We've seen a couple pictures of the home, and there were what I'll refer to as blankets that were covering some of the furniture. That's not unusual, correct?
Not at all.
And do you know why the blankets were there?
Miss Halderson liked protecting the couches from the dogs because they would jump on there, especially once coming outside.
So that was probably something that was kept year-round throughout the house.
The blankets on the couches? Yeah. Correct.
Thank you. Now, as far as time you spent with the Haldersons, it sounded like you spent a lot of time with them there as a family, if you will, correct?
Correct.
So you've probably had a couple meals with them.
Correct.
And would you agree with me that the Haldersons, Chandler, Brett, and Krista enjoyed cold beverages?
Correct.
And they, you mentioned during your direct that in one of the freezers there was a bag of ice.
Correct.
It's not unusual for them to have bags of ice in their household.
No, it's not unusual.
And is that because there was a broken ice maker, or did they even have an ice maker?
The ice maker in the fridge in the kitchen was always broken, and they had a tiny ice maker, a little portable one, but it was slow at making ice.
So sometimes Chandler would go get some ice from Quick Trip. I think that was the nearest place.
Correct.
And sometimes Krista would do that too.
Correct.
Maybe even Bart.
Correct.
You mentioned the dogs, and we've kind of heard about the dogs for a bit. So the Haldersons had 2 dogs, correct?
Yes, Rizzo and Izzy.
And a couple of times we've heard that maybe perhaps they were kept in the garage when people were coming over. In your experience, would you describe the dogs, and maybe one in particular, as anxious,
Yes,
maybe jumpy,
yes,
a bit afraid?
yes.
And that was it both of the dogs or just one dog?
Rizzo,
Rizzo, and she's the oldest one or the youngest one?
the youngest.
And that was just her personality, correct?
Correct.
Was she nice with you? Did she approach you?
It took her a long time, but yes,
But eventually she warmed up to you.
yes,
And in particular, around this time, because it's 4th of July, there were a lot of fireworks going off, correct?
correct,
And that just made her anxious, skittish, worse.
correct,
And as far as the dogs go, Chandler loved these dogs, correct?
correct,
He took good care of these dogs.
correct.
You mentioned that I think it was Izzy that fell down the stairs and he stayed with her to make sure she was okay. Or was that the other dog, Rizzo?
It was Izzy who fell.
And as far as Chandler goes, you would agree with me that he's generally a quiet individual,
Correct,
reserved.
correct,
You probably bring out more of his personality.
correct,
We also saw a lot of pictures that you two took together. Was that something that you did often?
correct,
And you would also agree with me that he's a pretty nerdy guy.
correct,
He loves Star Wars.
correct.
Did you already have Chewbacca before you met Chandler, or did he help you out with that?
I got Chewbacca about 3 weeks after dating Chandler, but I named him.
So you guys had a bond with that, with Star Wars.
Yes, I had an action figure collection that he liked.
I have no further questions for you. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Can I approach briefly?
Sure.
Take one.
Oh no, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the white noise they use. All right. Hold on. Let me just get past this break, because what in the heck? No, hold on. No, that was a long sidebar. Hold on.
You mentioned the Haldersons had a small ice machine in their home.
Yes,
How much, when you say small, what do you mean by that? Like, how quickly would it produce ice?
maybe like about 3 of these wide and maybe 3 stacks. It was not that big, and it created little ice cubes that you would just scoop and put in your drink, and you have to constantly add water to keep it going.
The July 1st or July 2nd, around that time, you said the Haldersons sometimes would buy ice, though, if they needed more.
Yes,
Around that time, do you know of any reason why Chandler would have needed 20 or more pounds of ice, more than what was able to be produced at the house? In that
What, the white noise?
can you repeat that?
Right. Do you know of any reason that Chandler, for his own purposes, would have needed 20 or more pounds of ice around July 1st this year?
Not that I can think of, no.
And around that time, you had brought a bag of ice to the house too, right?
Yes,
So there was the ice maker, there was the bag you bought, and then if I ask you, if Chandler had bought 2 more bags, there's a lot of ice in the house around that time.
yes,
No further questions.
And I'll just note for the record that I think it's fair to say the dimensions was approximately a foot by a foot cube. is what I'm gathering from my angle of view. Any problem with that?
No.
Anything, any dispute with that from the defense?
No.
May this witness be excused?
She's excused.
Is she released from her subpoena?
She's not.
All right, that means, Miss, that you are finished testifying here today, but you're still under the state's subpoena, and the defense, if the defense has one, and that you can't discuss your testimony with anyone, and you'll have to wait to find out from the party subpoenaing you when you're released or whether you're being recalled, all right? Thank you so much for your time. You can go ahead and exit, and we'll take one more witness.
State Health Detective Timothy Blanket.
So I want to see what he's talking about. And I may just kind of skip past him because I want to get to the interrogation.
Good afternoon, sir. If you are willing and believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without a mask would be our preference. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Your last witness for the day, but can you state and spell your name?
Timothy, Timothy, blank, Blanke.
Mr. Blank, what do you do for a living?
I'm a detective for the Dane County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been in that role?
I've been a detective since 2014.
And how long have you been in law enforcement?
Since 2004.
Were you asked to assist in the missing persons investigation to Bart and Krista Halderson that turned into a homicide investigation at some point?
Yes.
If you had to summarize generally what your role has been in this investigation, what has it been?
I've had various aspects of the investigation, including assisting with digital forensics acquisitions, interviewing witnesses, and helping compile information.
I think the jury just heard from a young woman by the name of Kat. Were you involved in her interviews somewhat?
Yes.
You're one of the detectives who conducted them?
Yes.
At all times, was Kat cooperative with you?
Yes.
Showing what's been marked in this case is exhibit number 120. Just briefly, what is that?
This is my curriculum vitae.
In your role as a detective with the Dane County Sheriff's Department, are you frequently called upon to...
So yeah, I am going to skip past him because I want to get to Chandler's interrogation. He was the last detective on the stand for today, and they basically are rehashing the same thing over and over again. So we're going to get to the next day where they go through Chandler's interrogation. This is pretty interesting. Buckle up because it is a wild ride.
37:33 is where we start again. Playback time 41:58. Words spoken by Mr. Halderson were "It's the 4th," and I'll begin playing exhibit 119.
In the morning, I'm a little worried about my family. I think I called my mom. Oh, throughout I've called, I don't know the times though. Throughout the weekend, I mean, but I called my mom, I believe, in the morning, just along those lines, and I get a text from her. It was a text message, it wasn't even my message, so I assumed. She said White Lake today, so she sent it that day. I couldn't figure out where she was because it was a text, there was no iMessage, so I kind of just like left it at that. They're safe, they're alive. Then get to the afternoon, I'm talking to Dan. I call him up and I ask him, well, what he's doing. Or maybe that was the morning, but I called Dan that Sunday, asked him what he's up to, if he wanted to hang out. I don't like being alone at the house very long.
Dan is mom's coworker / friend?
Yeah, this guy. Go over there. He invited me for fireworks in his driveway.
You said yesterday he lived in DeForest or Windsor, one of the...
Yeah, close. Okay. I could point it at a map.
One or the other, I think.
So throughout the day, the dogs, it's just me and the dogs, the fireworks, and the dogs are like running around and into things. I'm trying to keep them okay. All they're doing is knocking stuff over, spilled their water. They haven't eaten. They won't go outside for me. Even on a leash, I couldn't get them out.
What was the deal with that?
The fireworks.
Oh, the fireworks are spooking them so much.
Yeah,
I
day.
gotcha.
So I put them both into the Ford, cranked the TV.
Did that seem to help at all with him?
Yeah, the loud TV helped. Rizzo doesn't like, or maybe does like New Girl, the TV show, so we watched that. It's the theme song that gets her, I think. She barks. So we watched that. Izzy fell asleep, so Izzy's the old dog, the older one. So it was Sunday. But Sunday evening, Kat comes by to help me with the girls.
So she wasn't there during the day?
The girls is the dogs. Listen, this guy, I'm sorry, yeah.
No, it was just me and the dogs. She left Sunday morning. Or no, she left Saturday morning because I spent Saturday by myself.
I see that.
And then Sunday, it was just me and the girls till whenever Kat got there. We didn't eat together, I don't think. No, this is Sunday. So I went to Kat's house.
On Sunday?
I actually, yeah. So that was Sunday morning is when I left the girls. So all of Sunday morning, I had the girls in the fort. We watched New Girl. I went to Kat's house Sunday to eat, but we ended up not eating there. We went to Cress's house. It's Cottage Grove or Cascade? No, Cedarburg. It's a sea town area.
Okay. So where is it near?
I've never.
Cress.
Cress.
Oh, Cress. So Cress is
You
just
seen her on my phone?
Yeah, I saw the call story. That's your
helps me out with everything.
Kat's
mom's girlfriend.
Okay.
I try to talk to her as much because she's like, I don't know, why isn't she really helps me with what's going on with me? Because I've been in a slump, I'd say.
Okay.
But
all right. So went to Kat's house Sunday to eat. What time do you think you went over there?
Food at 3:30. That's what they said.
So about 3:30 you went over to Kat's?
Oh, I was at Kat's well before. I was at there noon. Okay. Noon, let's say.
Noon. Where does Kat live?
The east side?
East side of Madison?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm sure I could look it up, but do you know the road at all or anything?
Taffliger? Or Andrew Lane? Taffliger?
Okay. I'll look it up, that's fine. And so you met her Sunday about noon. What'd you guys do at her place?
Well, she realized my legs, I wouldn't be able to do stuff with them. So her brother, and her brother's date went to a thrift store while she had me sleep. She just put me to bed and they went. And then they get home around 2:30. Kat and I rush back to my house, let the girls out, and we go back straight to the farm.
Okay. Were you at the farm before you went to let the dogs out, or?
No, we were at Kat's. It's like a duplex.
So Kat's house Sunday around noon. You went to sleep with Kat, her sister,
her brother,
Kat's brother,
and his date.
Okay. Sorry about that. Went to a thrift store.
Then we went to Cress's and we ate. After that, James left after dinner, leaving his date with us, and we took a swim. After the swim, we left. Went to Kat's house to drop off his date. The date stayed at Kat's house. It was Rose, maybe. What her name was.
Rose. Had you ever met her before?
No, this was a Tinder match from her brother, Kat's brother.
Okay. What time do you suppose you guys went to Cress's house? So got to Kat's around noon.
We got back.
Okay.
Kat and I went to my house to let the dogs out, then we left. I think we got gas. And then we went to Cress's. So I'd say it was maybe 4 when we got there. We were late for dinner. But it was good because they were still setting up.
Where'd you guys get gas at? Do you remember that?
One of the quick trips in town. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
When you say in town, are we talking DeForest, Sun Prairie?
DeForest, it had to be.
Okay.
I think we got, I'm still not super sure, but I know we were doing something on the way, or we didn't do something. I thought we were going to do a return. I'm jumbling it right now, so just have that. We went to my house and back to Cress's. We were late.
Okay.
For dinner.
What were you guys driving? Were you in your
Kat's red Subaru?
Okay. Was she driving or you?
She drives that. Kat's her car.
Red Subaru, you said?
Yeah. It's at my house right now.
Oh, okay. And you rode with her?
Yes.
Where'd you guys go for a swim?
There's like a little pool up at the Cress's house.
Oh,
she's been helping me with like, my walking and everything. I'm gonna get to there.
Okay. It's indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
Must have been nice with how hot it is then.
Yeah, they got something fancy to heat it from the sun.
Okay.
But that was the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Then we went back to around 6, no, later. Maybe 7. We went back to Kat's apartment, dropped off Rose, got Kat's wet clothes. She had wet clothes because she was going to dry them. And we went to my house together.
So Rose got dropped off at Kat's?
Yeah, the duplex in the east side.
Okay. Was James with you guys at that point, or?
No, James left after dinner around 4:30.
Oh, okay. Was he not getting along with Rose, or?
No, he had work.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. Working on the 4th of July.
Something
So did Rose get dropped off at Cat's duplex then?
Yes. We'll refer to Cat's house as a duplex.
Yep.
Cress is the farm.
Yep.
We grow berries.
Yep.
My house is my house. That's how we refer to it.
Gotcha.
Where are we?
Sunday night about 7.
Sunday night
Rose
about
off at
7. We
Cat's.
get Rose dropped off. We get to my house. And we go to my house in DeForest, Windsor. We feed the girls. We put her clothes that she brought, the wet stuff, in the dryer because that's what she needed to do. We get her clothes dry. That's after we get back, actually. And then we go to dance.
Okay.
For the fireworks. That he asked us to come by 8:30. For some reason, I was trying to leave, but I was making a joke about it that we're going to be late, like stuff like that. Goofy crap. I drove to dance.
Okay. Which car were you guys in?
My dad's Subaru. It's a blue.
The one in the garage.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then we get there. We stay for 45 to an hour. That's how I got the bottle rocket marks.
Show me those.
That
Oh,
the sparks.
Sorry, you said
And I
it
think
opened
this
up or
was a
something?
wad or something. I flew back.
Shot back out of it.
Yeah, that one stuck in for a little bit. That's why it's so bad. But these are sparks.
Okay.
Those are at dance house you got those?
Yes.
At dance.
I didn't know the stick. You don't hold the stick. The stick flies with it. Well, sure. I didn't know.
So you're over at Dan's house
Okay.
about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, get my hands a little bit. We find a firework that it spins and takes off, and it went straight to the bush. So we were like, no more of that. We're done.
Did light the bush on fire?
No, thankfully it wasn't hot enough for that.
Good.
After that, we cleaned. I gave him a bottle of wine as a thank you for letting us come. Thankfully, I still have a couple bottles at home. While we're there, Dan had a few beers. His girlfriend was there, or fiance, or wife. I'm not sure the relationship, but she was there.
No name?
I never got her name. Just Dan's girlfriend. She's got purple hair. She's IT at ATC. The school's on IT.
But yeah, he just said that he met her on what is the dating app, Rumble or Bumble, whatever it is. But he don't know if that's the wife now. I can't with this dude.
Anybody else there?
Just the two of us, and then the neighbors watched. One to our left and one across the street. One group. The one across the street had some cooler stuff than I've ever seen a person be able to own with firework-wise. But there we are. And then someone in the distance, kind of closer to our house, launched a mortar artillery firework. And then I was like, okay, we have to go home for the dogs. So we went. And that was pushing 9:30, 9:45. We got home. We got into the couch for it. And put on Daybreak, was the apocalypse show. Daybreak. I put on that because we're trying to finish it.
On Netflix?
Yes. This is Cat and I still.
Yeah.
She was spending the night. The whole time, dogs are pushing me, nosing me, and everything. And so we kind of stop and we stop watching, and she goes to bed. I'm trying to let the dogs out, or at least go back in a little bit, but the fireworks, they've been. We get to bed upstairs in my room, because she didn't like the couch, and she had work in the morning. And I'd say that's 10-ish, 10:30, and the whole time, the younger dog keeps jumping on us. So I leave Cat in the bed, and I go sit out down in the couches and chairs down by the real dinner table. I go sit there and just hang out with the dogs so Cat can get to sleep.
Where we first started talking last night?
Yes,
Like
the
the
main
kitchen,
door.
dining room, and the couches? Okay.
I sit down there so Cat
Oh,
gets
the
to sleep.
Tinder app.
She does. Then I put the ladder in front of those steps so the girls can't come up. They pee on the kitchen tiles, so I clean that, and I'm like, well, at least they went before bed. It wasn't the worst thing. They're not going to go outside.
Yeah.
Then I go to bed. Then it's Monday morning. Cat goes to work 7:50-ish, maybe earlier. Then I'm left to myself, so we put on New Girl on the couch for on Monday morning. I go back and forth through some video games, and then back. Video games. Back, and then...
Those don't like to stand up very good.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to stretch a little bit on myself. So New Girl, video games. This is Monday. Again, later I have a little bit to eat for lunch. Well, at the end of the day on Monday, I did go, for the afternoon, I did go to the farm to talk to Cress and Cat's mom. I told them what's happening with my health, because I had the appointment at 2.
Did you go to the farm before or after?
After, because I told them what happened to me. And I told them the legs are probably going to be permanent, and the headaches should be fixed after the hemorrhage is cleared a little bit. So, now that I'm there, I talked to their mom and Crest together, and I think Kat's mom is all right with me. She's, I don't know, she wants me to move into the east side Kat's house and start paying rent as an apartment because she doesn't like to live at home.
Does Kat live with her mom, or?
Kat has an apartment.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Kat does?
Yeah, it's by Mifflin, the Party Avenue. It's by there.
Okay.
So I'm there talking to their mom and Crest. And then I go up, have, break down by the shed, and they go swimming. Right by the swimming pool is the shed, so they wanted to watch me, break down and all that. So after I noticed they were just watching, I just walk over to them.
Describe your breakdown to me.
I actually cried. Started kicking grass, just doing the toddler tantrum shit. Then I hopped in the water with them.
Okay.
So I was too late. I was in the water. Didn't realize Crest didn't have a top, and that was uncomfortable. But I talked to them more, and that's when she brought up the housing situation, how she doesn't like how my parents are. I guess I don't know. She doesn't know them that well. She's never met them.
Okay. Crest was saying that?
And Kat's mom. Kat's mom is speaks her first thought right away.
Yeah.
So they're offering me to get a job, live with them, work for them while I'm working, and pay rent. And that's kind of their deal. I would have a month free of rent, or a month or two maybe if they're thinking. I could be able to borrow a car from Crest maybe if she's nice. Or not using it, I'd be able to go to work.
Did she have a lot of cars or something? No. Okay. Just an extra one probably.
She stays at the farm. Okay. So if she didn't need it, I could use it to go to a job or at least interviews.
Yeah.
I was looking for a job, near where I live so I could bike. That would keep me, these going. I don't think they get worse, but I could keep doing it,
Yeah.
Where are we?
Sunday. So you were swimming, having a breakdown. What were you having a breakdown about?
You ever had your legs kind of?
No, I haven't.
It's just I don't even know if they're done getting as bad as they can be yet. So that's not fun.
And I think you were telling me last night it's a symptom of a concussion, right?
So
Right?
that's not it. It's a symptom of nerve damage from the head to the spine. So it's permanent.
Okay, I understand that now better.
Yeah. So it's just legs. I think it's least feeling is probably colostomy bag down the road and all of that. But here we are Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're sitting in the pool. We're hanging out. They're just talking to me. Sometimes they're being nice. Sometimes they're making the offer. Hey, if you move in, you can pay rent. This is a good neighborhood. It's cul-de-sac. There's parking. So, yeah, on the east side, just off of Milwaukee Street, that's Andrew. You take a left turn on Andrew.
Yep.
So that's it. So it's a good neighborhood, kind of like the one by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
If I live there, I at least be on doing my own thing. And then they're like, well, appreciate you stopping by. So I head out and I go, it was Monday afternoon, I go to dinner at Kat's house on the east side.
Okay. What time do you think that was?
It'd be 7:30. I left the farm, which is Crest's.
7:30 p.m.
Crest's is the farm. Okay. So, I like my cats. And then she's planning on feeding me. This is Monday, correct?
Yeah.
It's after the farm swim with Crest. I think we just eat and cuddle a little bit.
Okay.
When I go home, there's the girls. Let them out and go to bed because I kind of had a day.
Yeah. What time do you think you left her place?
It's
Kat's place?
9.
You left about 9. Okay. She didn't come with you?
No, I was alone that night.
Okay.
I really want to drag her away. I think she stayed at her house that night, not apartment.
Okay.
So there we are. Tuesday morning. Which is I can't remember Tuesday. Dan wakes me up, I believe, with something, or not wakes me up. I did the 6 again with the dogs and the food, but I got back in bed. I don't know if I passed out or zoned out a little bit, but Dan is worried about my mom on Tuesday, I think.
Did you call
I
her?
said no word. Mama, I don't know if he called her. I think he just contacted me so I can
Reach out.
Yeah, he reached out. Then I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday morning. They should be here. No worry. I think I called my mom that day.
All right.
And then
You dropped her?
no, she never picked up. It's always the voicemail. Let's say voicemail. You know when
Yeah.
So it's off, out of range. I don't know the other factors that could give you that.
Took a voicemail right away. It goes right to voicemail, right?
Yeah. Okay. So whatever factors can give you that.
So I might have missed it. So from the time they left, did you talk to them at all when they were?
I got a
up
text.
north? You got the one text.
Yeah,
But you mentioned
don't
earlier,
even like it.
right?
Yeah.
But that was it. Nothing else.
Yeah. So that's fishy to me. Even the text, because I realized Memorial Day is when the White Lake Parade is.
Oh, sure.
There's no 4th of July. Maybe there's cheap drinks, but there's no parade of White Lake on the 4th. So, well, maybe there is now. I realize I've always gone on Memorial. because that's when and I get time off from school and all of that. You don't get time off for the 4th.
So basically, from the time that they're gone at the cabin and you're home, running around doing what you're doing, you said one communication with mom.
Yeah, that's kind of how I just assumed the amount of people, where they're at, and where they're all.
Well, I understand. I was making sure it was more than one.
Her not contacting, but this was the only text.
Was there anything with Dad?
No, I don't even bother talking to him. He wouldn't use his phone while he's up there. He loves it.
Oh.
Just like,
Does he keep his phone on when he's up there?
It's usually in the car.
Oh, okay.
My brother and I just text all the time while we're up there. We even set up wiring kind of sometimes to make better connection. Sure. So here we are. Where?
Tuesday. Called mom. Voicemail immediately.
Voicemail immediately Tuesday. Where?
Dan called, worried about mom not coming to work. You had already fed the dogs the night before Dan called her, or reached out to her.
So I'm doing this now. I got a coffee at a Quick Trip one day. Well, I think that could have been Tuesday morning. At Quick Trip, I got a coffee, and I used my dad's number at a Quick Trip to give me the free one. It was a gold. I could have afforded it, but there's a free one. And it's Tuesday, or it wasn't Monday. I could have gotten a $1 one, but it was full price, I believe. And I grabbed the coffee. It was a free one. He hasn't used it for weeks, so I grabbed that at a Quick Trip. I couldn't tell you which one. I was just driving at that point.
When you use it's rewards card is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
You just enter his phone number.
You type it.
Okay.
But I got coffee. Had to be, I'm assuming, Tuesday. And I got a free one.
Sweet.
It was there.
Oh, what?
I wanted to try Fruit the Gold. Yeah. It wasn't bad. Then we're at Tuesday. Cat's working up my gaming job hunt. And then I started trying to get the glass. Because I've been a little lazy on the glass. I just kind of had chairs in front of it. I just got a broom and, the little sweeper holder, you broom it into that. Yeah. And I'm tossing the glass into recycling. I get most of it. There's a bunch in the cracks of the stone that I'm picking out by hand. I didn't injure myself from that, but my blood was kind of on the floor, so I got the Swiffer I borrowed from Kat, from the foot. I borrowed a Swiffer to mop. I Swiffered the floor, like not the stone, but the floor. And then I got a little bit in the kitchen, and then everywhere kind of I walked pretty much. The bathroom, the kitchen, and then I can get the carpet, so I still stained that up, ready.
Where was the carpet at?
The stairs between basement and kitchen.
Oh, that's right.
Carpet stairs. I tried. I can't get it out. I don't know how to do that, but got all the way up to the laundry room where I found my first aid kit. And I just tried to stop all the bleeding, but it wouldn't stop. So.
And that blood was all coming from your left foot.
Yeah, left foot hole.
Left foot hole.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking massive amounts of blood? Or are we talking, a little bit? Describe.
It started as drops until I got to the bathroom, and then I got back to go grab my sock and some of the paper towel, and then I see the glasses in there, so I grab the tweezers and I pull it out, and then it starts squirting out. And I got some on a little bit of the rock. It wasn't that bad of the rock, but I think the worst was that floor. That kind of like this lid puddles. It wasn't good.
We're talking floor down in the basement.
Well, that one, and then I go upstairs to the kitchen, and it's still going. And I'm trying to get my foot in the sink just to slow it down and pinch it maybe. And then I waddle upstairs to the IFAC, or the first aid kit. And once I got it kind of bundled up, it stopped for what I know. Then I need to get some tape. We have a tape box in the basement. I go there and I opened it up again. I bled a little bit more, but the basement was easy to clean. It was just cement, a little bit of water, and I rigged that up. But I grabbed the tape box and I wrapped it. After that's Tuesday.
Yep.
That's Tuesday. Wings. I go to Cats.
Oh, okay.
We had wings.
What time?
I've been doing the BS of first aid and all that. I go to Kat's house with her mom and her brother. That could have been 5 or 6. I can't give you the exact.
Did you guys pick up the wings and go there? Or?
No, I drove to Kat's. Straight there.
What'd you drive?
The Subaru.
Car choice.
I just, with the Volvo seat, I can't do it with my foot.
So we're talking about wings. Did you guys go pick up wings? Or?
Yeah, so we get there, and we're calling around, seeing what's up. James is getting home with Jimmy John's. And we're like, oh, we don't eat all of it. He's like, I'm hungry now, do all that post-gym crap. So he grabs, eats half of the sandwich, and then we go, Cat and I, the two of us, in my car, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Do you remember which one?
I can tell you. Had to East, right? That's close to the edge. It's by a mall.
Not East on
It's by a mall. It is a mall. We go and get the wings, we go out. We go to Cats, we eat. Watched this movie, Pretty in Pink or something. It's about a girl that likes fashion and goes to Harvard. So,
Is that on Netflix or is it on TV?
they have like everything there. I didn't know.
So you eat the wings at Cats, watch Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, it was an option. But the four of us we all eat.
Okay.
And then went upstairs, lay down in her bed for a few minutes.
Just letting the food settle or
Yeah.
hanging out?
She's kind of falling asleep. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get out of here. And I go home, get the girls all ready for bed, going outside, get them water.
What time do you think you made it home?
Say 9 at the latest. Took girls water, well, not really food, they could eat before, but water, and played, like, indoor playtime in the bathroom.
Sure.
So,
Did you guys go to, so you were home alone then?
I've been home alone this whole weekend, really, except with Cat.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Cat didn't come that night. So now we're pushing Wednesday, aren't we?
What time did you go to bed on Tuesday night?
Probably we'll be getting close when I got home, 10 at the latest. Yeah, kind of been tired lately.
Sure.
Then in the morning on Sunday? No, wait, where are we? Wednesday, okay, so Wednesday. I try to go to the farm, and I keep spamming Cress. I kind of need someone to talk to because I'm freaking out about my parents. Jane's calling me. I give her the address to go to the farm, or to the cabin. Jane Helgendorf. Never picked up from Cress, so I go home.
Did you drive over to the farm?
Yeah.
Because she wasn't answering her phone, right?
So I got close, but then I realized I can't just show up there. They'd shoot me. I don't know when I drive. I look like with a hat on.
They got guns over there, or would they actually shoot you?
No, I'm saying her dad lives there. He's 90. He got a buck when he was 95 or something. So I know if he didn't know who I was, he could have.
Yeah.
So he's old. But he can use a gun. That's why I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So Cress's dad lives there too?
Yeah.
Is it Cress's farm or dad's
It's her
farm?
dad's. He built it.
Oh, okay. And then
She lives there. She's managing the property because he's in a chair.
Yeah, he's old.
So then it's not really fun. It's
Farm,
a hobby farm.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
They
I
just
haven't ever been there.
let wildflowers grow for the bees. That's pretty much it. And middleberries. But it's then here we are. I turn around and then Jane calls. I get a picture of the property at the cabin. And I see that. So I'm looking at the cabin. And then it doesn't look right. There's a birch tree in front. And I didn't like the look of it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just sit right with me a little bit. But it looked like tracks were pushed down into the grass a little bit. I don't know, in the picture. And Mike said there was like light tracks, like someone was there.
Where was the birch tree at?
It looked like it was in the middle of the drive. And sometimes we do that. We find a fallen log and we put it like a double door entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in from the gate, you park, you move the next, and then you drive.
Yeah, sure.
So that's like the only security we can get up there. We have done that before. The grass is overgrown, but that's from the storm and the fallen trees.
Mm-hmm.
You can't mow there because of the flowers.
So with the birch tree, I mean, if you guys typically put stuff down like security, why did it look weird to you this time?
Never seen that log.
Okay.
We have this log that's
When did you
close
put
to
it?
the shed. It's, I would say, closer to petrified than rotten. It's hard, like really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of tree, but that's what my dad and I use when we go.
So you typically use the same tree, this one just seemed out of place.
Yeah, that's not the tree we use.
Gotcha. Where are we? Wednesday morning, Jane sends you a picture of the cabin. You see the birch tree. And
All right, then I go to the police station because I ask her, when should I make a thing? Point her at that. I'm sorry.
No worries, man. Wednesday morning, you said you went to the police department?
Yeah, to make I'll talk to them about my parents. And then I met with 3 sheriffs that came.
3, you said?
3. There was a Seeley, he's bearded, the guy that drove me here, I'm not sure the name. And then Collins, she was also doing canvassing.
Mm-hmm.
So canvassing. So here we are, those 3. I get the questions answered. Then we go to my house. And then there's 3 more, the same 3 sheriffs.
So they talked to you at the police station or wherever you
Yeah, I get information and stuff.
And then they came to your house?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's probably about, then I came a couple hours later.
They were there questioning, you're now questioning.
Mm-hmm.
And then that night, Wednesday night, I go to Dan and Mary's.
Wednesday night.
What time do you think? They feed me at probably 7:30.
When you said you went to?
Dan and Mary Sesto and Dan Something-ovich. So
Mary Sesto's house?
Mary Sesto's house. It's on the same road.
As yours?
Yeah, they just up.
Around the corner. For dinner you went there?
Yeah, well, they just fed me. They didn't eat.
Okay.
They just wanted to brainstorm.
Any good ideas come out of it?
No.
Okay. So you said you
only
went...
could think of Dan, and Dan's been here.
Yeah. So you said you went to the police department to talk about your parents. Just tell me what exactly did you talk about your parents with the deputies about?
Oh, we're making a report. That I thought I had to do that at the station.
Okay. You were reporting Like, what were you reporting exactly? I just want to write down and have it on there.
They're missing this.
Okay. They're missing. Okay. Gotcha. As far as you know, I mean, were you able to tell? We've gone into a lot of detail last night and tonight, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that you gave them as much information as you've given me, or do you think that we
You
could have
asked
gone
way more
over?
questions.
Yeah.
You even asked about my injuries,
Yeah.
the bleeding in the fireplace.
Yeah.
The sheriffs kind of gave what they need to make reports, and you just asked about like home life.
Everything, right? Okay.
So you got more in depth.
Yeah.
I think. Wednesday here we are, and throughout the weekend I've been calling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm just kind of look at some things here. So we started Wednesday. Mom had work. You and your dad watched Wheel of Fortune. We're just gonna kind of read stuff back through a little bit. Okay. And we kind of ended it last night because I've been talking to you since then. You know, so I don't think there's much else that I need you to tell me from last night. So watching Wheel of Fortune, you're on the couch, table downstairs, couch back to the table downstairs, and tossing the ball around for the dog and broke the glass fireplace. Your foot gets hurt, dad gets mad, right? Yeah. Mom left for work in the morning, comes home later on. Dog was fine, not injured at all. Was it the dog or the ball that crashed into the glass?
Well, the ball bounced, the dog hit it with the shoulder. That's how it broke. The ball went kind of.
Yeah, probably not. Okay. All right. Playing games, watching YouTube, job search. I'm just gonna still read out loud, just make sure I don't have any questions. You guys typically make your beds every day? Looked like they were made yesterday when I was there.
Yes. Okay. You do your sheets every few days in beds.
You change the sheets every day?
Every few.
Yeah.
They get changed.
I say that's
on
cool.
a daily basis. Or the dog hair, it's kind of hard to sleep.
Yeah, they probably do have some pretty long hair.
The heat they shed. But.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I get it. I got a dog. He sheds too, but you got two of them. You know. All right. As far as the blood on your foot, how did you clean that up? So we were talking. You had blood on
Swiffer wet jet.
Okay, Swiffer wet jet. And where did you get that from?
Cat let me borrow it.
Where's it at now?
I returned it.
The cat.
Yeah. I don't know where it's at now. You just brought it back. Give it back for.
Did you use anything else?
Hydrogen peroxide for the tiles and the hard floors. Just the big globs needed a little bit.
Hydrogen peroxide. Did that seem to help get rid of the blood?
It didn't really help. It kind of just made a mess.
When you say only on tiles, I'm trying to remember your house.
I couldn't do carpet with it.
Yeah,
Ruined the carpet, right?
It would. I think so. Tiles. Are we talking kitchen? Because downstairs is just like cement.
Well, when I had some blood on the basement, I used the peroxide.
Okay. Basement floor and tiles in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, peroxide. It wasn't as much. Like there weren't like this size pools in the kitchen.
Okay.
I was pinching it pretty dang hard, which was also cutting deeper because I had another might still have a piece of glass.
Is that the biggest pool that you saw?
This was downstairs. This was kind of on the stone, close to the glass, and then there was one right at the base, kind of where the chairs I put, like a good, like 2 or 3 inch diameter.
2 or 3 inch diameter. Okay.
More than that.
Did you do anything to? So I wrote down on Tuesday that you tried getting the glass cleaned up in the basement, plus in the glass and recycling. Did you clean up at all when it actually happened?
No, my dad was furious. So he did stuff
to clean it.
Yeah, I don't know what he did, but he sent me to my room upstairs. And he did whatever he did, but it still was on the floor after he was done.
Okay. Did your dad get injured at all when the glass broke? Did he step on anything?
He sent me up. But I don't doubt it. When he gets mad, he's not thinking.
So we don't know if your dad got hurt.
No.
Okay.
No. But my best guess is that guy reached in the fireplace and cut off his arm or something. Head pain? Do you guys have like Tylenol or something? I know you guys can't really offer anything like that. But yeah, we're getting the migraines from all of the hits and stuff.
Yeah, we're trying to get something. So, all right, so cleaning up the blood, we just got the Swiffer and the hydrogen peroxide.
Just kind of smeared it around. There's another paper toweling. Yeah, just that. Okay. And then there's, I don't know.
Where did all those paper towels go? There's some trash?
Yeah, some everywhere in my car trash, in my trash.
They ended up in the car trash?
There's a bag in the car that I carry around. It's a car trash.
Oh,
it's like a gallon bag.
Okay.
That's more portable than the garbage can. So, yeah, bloody rag after bloody rag, just trying to get it all up. And, I don't know, it was a lot. I didn't feel sick, so it couldn't have been that much, right?
Yeah, you don't lose enough to pass over anything. Is there any reason to believe mom or dad's blood would be somewhere in the house that they've been injured at all or aware of?
Well, my dad scratches his psoriasis till he gushes blood.
Okay, gushing. Describe gushing to me.
Enough to run down your leg, like cover your leg, I suppose. Like he does it on his knee, so when he does this, it just like drips down. I asked him to stop, but he doesn't do it when he's stressed out.
Yeah.
He just kind of like it's his tip.
Yeah, probably itches. Does he? I guess I don't know if he get on the floor. Does he leave?
Oh, good.
Like how much? Like before we were talking the water bottle lid and the Yeti lid. Is there? I mean, like, are we talking puddles like that, or just ribbons or?
You know, but I'm thinking, yeah, you lit if he's there and I don't catch him soon enough.
Oh, jeez.
My mom's blood, just from her bloody nose that she gets sometimes when she wakes up. That's why we've been doing the humidifier and dehumidifiers.
Yeah. Probably downstairs. You get the.
We have to do multiple of them, but she can't be in the living room too long because that's a dehumidifier. You know, if she does, her nose gets bad. Not like a regular one, she gets it bad. But she either goes to the kitchen to fix it for vanity or the bathroom.
Gravity.
Just spraying around. Is it just
Well, it's not squirting, but it's just, she doesn't notice it.
Okay.
She can't feel it anymore.
Okay. Is there any reason to believe that in either one of their vehicles there would be any of their blood?
Check your text.
Their vehicles?
Yeah.
Check your text.
Maybe car trash.
Yeah.
Mom's car trash would
But
definitely.
check, look at the text,
My dad's
please.
car trash.
Why would they have blood in their car trashes?
Well, my mom does the bloody noses with air conditioning, so when we have air conditioning, my mom will have to use bring towels and stuff because in the hot days you can't have your windows open, you won't drive well.
No.
So with air conditioning, my mom will have nosebleeds. My dad hasn't had them as much as she does, but he gets them.
Okay.
His are worse than my mom's.
Does he ever do it in the house then?
Mostly just with air conditioning, and sometimes with the dehumidifier.
Okay.
Me personally, just in air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I get them, but not as bad as my parents. Like it's not bad.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm just thinking. It's kind of absorbing. I just want to make sure that I'm asking everything so I don't have to keep calling and stuff.
Do you know my brother? Is he okay?
Mitch?
Yeah, did he make it? I know that's a long drive.
He hasn't called. Yeah, he hasn't called me at all, so I don't know.
I don't think they've ever done a trip like that.
So it's like 3 hours, 3.5 later.
Mitch, okay.
As far as up at the cabin, when do you think the last time you were up there?
Personally, last year.
Last year.
Memorial Day, I believe. If it wasn't the weekend before Memorial. I didn't make the parade. I never got there last year.
When do you think the last time your mom or dad were at the cabin before?
My dad went when my brother was diagnosed with diabetes.
When was that?
The weekend before my concussion, so 1, 2, 3. Not including this week. 3, 4. Yeah, 4.
Did you really not? Probably doing okay. But he was born diabetes.
No, this was. I guess the kind of damage
This year, like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. He went out, noticed our plumbing's gone to crap, and he bought a new set, something at a flea farm at Home Depot. Or it's like a 4-way converter type thing for the plumbing. Something for the cabin. Yeah, for the cabin.
It's for like a toilet or?
Yeah, we have a toilet up there actually now.
Nice. Not just an outhouse?
No, there is an outhouse.
Yeah, you want to ask friend?
Yeah, I appreciate that. What did you say? Yeah, it was like a place to add or
No, not that. Just add. Just over the counter stuff.
Thank you.
Like 3 of them more?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
You got me looking at it.
Thanks, Kim.
Just add on them, right? You put them on your mouth already?
No, that's good.
So the plumbing was crap?
No.
Is it like, was it a sink or a toilet, or what was it with the plumbing that went bad?
So when we have to pour water in every time we go up to start the pump.
Okay.
So some reason by pouring water in, the water never rose in the toilet bowl apparently, so you couldn't flush it. You know, the water didn't come to the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed a new thing to stop whatever the problem was. I think leaking. I don't know. I didn't hear everything from him.
Sure. How did he find out about that?
He?
Yeah. How did he know that there was a plumbing issue up there?
Well, he went up there just to go see the cabin.
Oh, so when he went up a couple weeks ago, he realized an issue. This time he wanted to fix it.
Well, he fixed the major issue, so it won't be flooding the house.
Okay.
The cabin. No, he wanted the pipe set to redo it.
Okay.
Because we need new pipes because they're lead. And I think we might be moving to plastic because there's no water heat. We can do plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what that part was. But that was when Mitch, diabetes, the number one.
Did Mitch go up there with him?
No, well, my mom and I were kind of with Mitch all that weekend doing stuff.
Dad just went alone.
Yep, and then later that week I had my fall. And I just started getting my memory back.
Okay.
So,
where did his mom been up there this year at all?
Mom has not been up there this year. Maybe they were up there before. No, I think Dad did it all himself, maybe. I think this is first.
And Mitch hasn't been in the cabin in a while, right?
Today?
Oh, longer than today.
Yeah, I couldn't say he's been there. He didn't go last year.
Okay. Does he kind of do his own thing, or?
Mitch hasn't lived with us, or, you know, he's got a family now, a dog, a girlfriend, no kids, but it's kind of, you know, opposite side. You know how it is with others.
Yeah, okay.
He's flew the coop.
Got a few myself.
Yeah.
All right.
I started thinking about that myself, and my parents are trying to figure that out with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We got all the background, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it's time we start talking about what happened to your parents. Like the truthful version. Okay. So we have like 20 pages of writing. We're gonna start with a clean white piece of paper. You start telling the truth. Okay. What? Because listen to me. This is the only chance you're gonna have to tell us the truth. Okay. What we listen. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why. Okay, you need to tell the truth. Listen. You need to tell the truth about what happened, and just tell us why it happened. Okay? If something happened, if you were defending yourself, or if you just got fed up with stuff, you need to tell us the truth. Okay? This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that?
Okay. There'll be a pause.
You're under arrest. Okay?
What happened? Okay.
And look, you know what happened. We're not going to tell you what happened. You know what happened. You were there when it happened. We're not BSing you, okay?
I wasn't there when it happened. So. We know more than you think we know. I understand. But there's people that have told us things with evidence or proof that more has happened with that. So your parents never made it to the cabin. I think you know that.
There'll be another pause.
Just have to stand up and spin it over here for me. Get me in your pockets at all. Well, just allow it to just bring it. Okay.
They had enough of his shit. Let's go, buddy. We let you say all that. We don't even need the
Where's your coin percent?
we don't need that.
Look, it's in.
We don't need to do anything like that. Like sit down.
I'm going to stop and ends for all intents and purposes at 1:48:24. And Judge, you can turn off the screen for a moment if you'd like.
So let's see what he got going on with his stupid self. He done sat there and said all that.
That interview was conducted on July 8th. On July 9th, the next day, were photographs taken of Mr. Halderson's toe.
Photographs were taken of his toe, and I believe on the 9th.
And you've seen those photographs as well as the other photographs taken on that day in the course of the investigation?
Yes.
Showing exhibits 500 and 501. What are those?
Those appear to be images of the injury on Chandler's foot.
I'd move 500 and 501 into evidence.
Your Honor, I have a foundation objection.
Can you lay more foundation through this witness for the photos?
Sure. Who took these photographs?
That would be Deputy Jim Plenty.
And you've reviewed these photographs in the course of this investigation?
Yes.
And the series of photographs taken start with overviews and move down to specific areas of Mr. Halderson's body?
Correct.
So while in these photographs you can't see Mr. Halderson, in the overview ones and as they move closer, you can identify the person?
Yes.
And who's the person being photographed?
Chandler Halderson.
That's fine.
They are received. They may be published.
Move to publish 500 and 501. Give me 1 second.
Are you all set for it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Detective, I'm showing you to mark this exhibit.
Charlie got his
Yes.
feet up there.
Correct. Yes.
Cross-examination?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you, Detective. You may return back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an appropriate time to take our noon lunch break since we're about 4 minutes away from noon. It's 5 degrees outside. Be cautious and careful.
Ooh, 5 daggone degrees. All right, so that was Chandler in the interrogation. They let him just talk and talk himself into a hole that he can't dig himself out of now because they are they already know what they know. Like, so Chandler Halderson was a mess. I briefly want to see if I can locate the interview of, well, on the stand they called his employer in, and hold on, because they were brief on the stand. Quick. What is this, sir? That's not it. May not be able to find that, but because of the interview, I'm not going to play all of this. I just wanted to play the core because this is going to be the last day for this. As I stated, I'm going on to a case that's current. I'm going to be covering that case. A case that is current. So let's get into the closing arguments. We're going to do that, and then we're going to just do the prosecution closing. I'm not going to do the defense closing. Why? Just why? We're going to prosecution closing, and then we're just getting into the verdict. And then I'm going to be out of here. Shout out to Flesh for donating the 5 memberships today and supporting the channel as always. Please make sure you're sub to Flesh of the Gods. He's going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless he's going to change that. But as of now, that's what we have for him. We also have Cat Now Williams going live. I believe it's 1:30. I'm going to check that just to be sure.
HDMI left on, Your Honor. Good morning.
No one, what up? What up?
I always start my closing arguments in the same way. And it's simply this. If any of the attorneys, either throughout the trial or during closings today, from either side, myself, Mr. Brown, or the defense, misstate a fact or evidence, you should go with your collective memories. You guys are the jury. We've sat with this case for months, had meetings about it, talked about it, read things about it, and sometimes not intentionally, but sometimes people, misremember something or think of one thing they read. So please use your collective memories as jurors to determine what you heard and what you saw. Additionally, it should be the written law that the judge just read and that you will get a copy of that should determine how you process and think of the law. For years, I've listened to attorneys where prosecutors have basically belittled the burden of proof and where the defense has built it up to be something that can never be overcome or can only be overcome by video. Neither of those things are true. You should look at the written law and follow the written law. Second thing I want to say is I want to apologize for all the graphic photos that you folks had to look at the last 3 weeks. I'm sorry I had to show them to you. But we had to. They were part of a crime, and because of the charges and what we have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, it was necessary for you to look at some of those photos. I will promise, though, today I will not be showing you any of those anymore. There will be none of those photos in my closing. So every case that comes in is kind of like a puzzle. You have to look at it, because obviously you weren't there. But, solving a case and thinking about whether or not a person is guilty or not guilty is like putting together a puzzle. And it's your job as the jury to put that puzzle together. But the question in this case, or why this case is kind of unique, is the person who committed the crime had 8 days to spread the pieces of that puzzle all over the state of Wisconsin, or at least southern Wisconsin. Now, what are the pieces of those puzzle? They're evidence. What is evidence? It's what you saw in this courtroom and what you heard in this courtroom, testimony. People sitting on the witness stand and telling you what they knew. Before we start off going through that evidence, I want to remind you of the background of the events before July 1st of 2021. In June of 2021, Bart and Krista Halderson lived at 4595 Oak Spring Circle with their son, Chandler Halderson. And at that time in June, they thought that their son had an internship with American Family, although there was problems with the payment. He hadn't been working there about 6-7 months, hadn't been paid yet. They thought their son was attending an ATC, that he had already earned a solar certificate there, and that he was enrolled in the IT program and was 1 class away from graduating. They also thought that he was going to soon be going to a job in Titusville, Florida at SpaceX. Now, things became a little suspicious to the father, Bart Halderson, who's an accountant. He's wondering, why is a Fortune 500 company not paying my son when he's working there? And for over a year, he was talking to various people at Madison College or MATC about why he hadn't gotten his son's transcripts, why they couldn't get a meeting, why he hadn't received his solar certificate. He'd been emailing with these 3 people, Aaron Hoover, Daniel Spieth, and Alyssa Brandt, and been communicating with them. This all kind of comes to a crescendo or 2 ahead, the day before Bart is murdered. And on that day, he has a phone call with Omar Joe. He starts off this phone call, you can just tell in his voice, he's angry, because he thinks this college has been giving him and his son the runaround for about a year. They're not doing their job. And so he's kind of aggressive at the beginning of this call. You don't really like him until you know the whole story. And he learns during this call that his son has never earned a solar certificate, that his son is not enrolled in the IT program, that his son owes the college over $1,000, and that Alyssa Brandt, Aaron Hoover, and Daniel Spieth have never worked for Madison College. We see, and that is the background that lead us into the events of July 1st, 2021. On that day is started by Chandler messaging his girlfriend. 7:26 a.m., I hardly slept. 7:27 a.m. I don't know. Stuff really hasn't been going well for me lately. So I'm trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over. We know at 7:27 a.m., his mom leaves for work. She works customer service at Zimbrick. She heads to work. We then know at 7:51 a.m., Chandler messages his girlfriend, yeah, I had a great future planned and it's falling apart. Now, what does he know at this point? His dad does send him a text message the day before saying, I spoke to Omar Job. I honestly don't know if that meant anything to Chandler or not, but things are coming to a crescendo. And what we do know is he texted his girlfriend at 1:04 p.m. I overheard that they may go to the cabin with their friends, and I don't know, but I don't know. We also know that on Bart's work calendar, he has a meeting with Chandler and MATC. I don't know if Bart confronted him the night before. I don't know if Bart was going to see how long this ruse or how elaborate this ruse was going to get. But this topic was going to be discussed, and there would be a coming to terms. We know that at 2:10 p.m., Bart texts Chandler, I'm ready whenever you are. What happened next? Well, we have to look at the evidence. There's a spent shell casing in the basement of the home. There's a bullet fragment, noticeable reddish brown staining, also tests positive for Bart's DNA. That's the bullet that went through and through Bart. The spent casing, and that casing tested positive as being shot from the rifle that belonged to Chandler. We know that Chandler got this rifle about 2 weeks prior, and it was found in the barn on Irwin Road. We know that he got it from his friend Smith, and he was given a bunch of ammo. We also see evidence in the basement of a divot from Ricochet, a fresh divot. Also, blood, a quadrillion times more likely to be Bart than any other unknown person. More blood. And we know that Chandler texted his mom this. Dad's phone died. Text or call me. Remember, Dad's phone had a charger right there on the desk. You can plug your phone in and within 10 seconds send a text message. I think here there's a half-truth. Dad's dead. Dad died. Oh, and get me soda on your way home. I have an extra hour of work. We know Chandler didn't have a job. He's stalling. Get his mom to take more time. Okay, I can, she says, smiley face. We know that she returns to the house at 5:12 p.m. We also know that her blood is found in the basement as well. And at 5:11 p.m., Chandler starts writing the following note. Weekend chores, H2O2 and lemon. So that's hydrogen peroxide, which cleans up blood, and lemon, which is a deodorizer. Door handles, move your shit upstairs, get a job. Interesting, if he would have just gotten a job, he wouldn't have had to do the prior 3. And clean the floor. That came back in a search warrant for his Google account. We also know at 7:49 p.m., he's in the shower FaceTiming his girlfriend. So he cleans up. He then departs at 8:16 that night for Quick Trip. We see him there at the Quick Trip. There's the Volvo, there he is. He buys 20 pounds of ice. He arrives back home at 8:29 p.m. Then we know that somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30, the neighbor, Steve Greiber, smells a weird burning, a pungent burning that he describes like a pig roast. And you heard testimony from Fire Inspector Bill Boswell that unfortunately in his line of work, he's come across many burned bodies, human bodies, and that they do in fact smell like a pig roast. Moving on to Friday, July 2nd. We know throughout that night, and I'm not re-showing this video, but there's hours of this video. We know that we see burning in the fireplace and the garage light go on and off. All throughout the night. There it is, almost 3 a.m. Until at one point it kind of crescendos and dies down. We also know, looking at the living room of the Halderson home, that right there by the fireplace is a measuring tape. Folks, he measured the parts of the body to see if they were small enough to fit into the fireplace. And a fan, add oxygen to that fire, make it burn a little bit hotter. We know that it burned hot enough that it damaged the fireplace. The door shattered, and the paint is visibly peeling and bubbling. We also know that there's blood evidence. Evidence of cleanup from the luminol photos, as well as droplets of blood. We know that that those stains test positive for blood, and that they test positive for Bart and Krista's DNA. There is also some DNA from Chandler. He did cut his foot. We're not disputing that. But he cut his foot in the process of dismembering and blowing and burning his parents, not from playing ball with the dogs. More blood. That's also Dad. And of course, on top of this fireplace that then is made to look all pristine with papers that date to June 23rd, not in the winter from when you would have last actually had a real fire, but from June 23rd, there's a piece of skull. And so Dr. Christina Figueroa Soto gets involved in this case. And she finds bones. She finds lots of bones. They go into this ash trap. I'd never even heard of an ash trap before. Clearly, neither had Mr. Halderson. But they find a total of 230 bone fragments. She's able to say 106 of them were substantial enough that she's able to say what they were, that they were human and what parts of the body they're from. 53 from the skull or cranium, 18 from the hands, 24 teeth, 8 vertebrae, 3 long bones, either from arms or legs. There's also evidence in the garage. We have blood staining on shoes. That blood staining tests positive for both Bart and Krista and is identified as blood, not just touch DNA. More staining on the shoes, Bart. And in the shoes, they test the inside of the shoes as well to see whose shoes these belong to. They're Chandler's. They're his size 10.5. Oh, and he's wearing them right there. Those are the shoes he wore. In the garage, there's an axe found, and there's blood staining on this axe. It's positive for human blood on the hilt. It's positive for human blood on the head. On the head of the axe is both Bart and Krista's DNA. On the hilt is both Bart and Krista's DNA. And look at those numbers. A quadrillion times more likely to be those two than an unknown person. That's 1,000 times the world's population. And on the handle, Bart and Krista's DNA as well. We know at 7:02 a.m. that morning, that's a Friday morning of a holiday weekend, okay? July 3rd, Friday morning, a 23-year-old at 7:02 a.m. gets up, drives to Fleet Farm. Again, wearing those shoes. He buys a tarp. There's that tarp, 6x8. That tarp is later found in a trash bin at the Irwin Road property out in the woods. He returns home at 7:31. And we see the following, throughout the day, we see the following text messages between him and his girlfriend. We're set for this. We just need ice. And now hydrogen peroxide, because I stepped on glass. Later, there's more talk, whether she will come or not. But if your mom has an extra bottle, that'd be great. And a Swiffer wet jet. Okay, I do kind of, and there's more talk about whether or not Kat will be there and what time. And Chandler responds, okay, I do kind of need the Swiffer and the peroxide and stuff. Oh, and remember ice. Didn't he just buy 20 pounds of ice less than 12 hours earlier? But he needs more ice. What does he need that ice for? Well, the fireplace broke. We know there's a freezer. He bought lots of ice, and that freezer tested positive for human blood. Parts of his mom and his dad were put in that freezer. We know that night on the 2nd, one of Krista's coworkers, Daniel Croninger, came to the house. He had heard that day that Krista no-called and no-showed for work, and that is not the Krista he knew. She had worked there for several years, had never done that before, just not the type of person she was. I mean, of course, I never met her, but she seems a little type A. Like, she liked things to be in order, liked things to be a certain way, and was responsible. So he comes over, and Chandler begins to tell the tale of, yeah, they went up to the cabin, they left this morning with some mystery couple, you know, she probably just forgot to take off, even though her boss testified that she would often take off a year in advance and get the dates right, and had dates planned out in the future. But Daniel seems to be somewhat satisfied with that. Here's the problem. Krista's phone is responding to towers in her house. She didn't go anywhere. She never left that house. There are cameras on every side of that house. We know when Krista went in, and we never see her leave. This is not a whodunit, folks. That house is surrounded by cameras. We know who came and left. And we know that her phone was found in a shoe, hidden under a shelf, behind other shoes, wrapped in tinfoil, wrapped in a paper towel. Dan leaves about 10 minutes later after talking with Chandler, and Kat arrives and spends the night. And they spend the night on this couch fort. You probably thought, why are they putting in evidence about that? Who cares where they slept? This is why it's important. A normal bed, a queen size, is about 5 feet wide. 2 people can sleep there really comfortably, and for the most part, not disturb one another, unless you're a rather light sleeper. But Chandler has a problem. He has body parts in the basement of his home, in the freezer. What if Kat gets a hankering for some ice cream and goes in there like she had before? He needs to be able to control her that night. He needs to be able to know if she wakes up and where she goes if she does. So he builds this, a thing that has walls where you really can't get in and out of it gracefully. It's his way to know where she's at. I'm not sure if his girlfriend realizes how lucky she actually is. Saturday, July 3rd, 2021. Kat leaves at 6:55 a.m. She has a job. And we know at 7:47 a.m., Chandler is once again up and leaving the house, headed for Roxbury. How do we know that he's headed for Roxbury? His Snapchat shows him there. Kat kind of keeps track of Chandler's location, and they snap each other all the time. She finds him there. His phone also puts him there. And he's quite close to where the remains were found. We also know that is an area he frequented. That's a picture of him about a year before, standing there with a knife. And that white tent in the background, that's where they found Mom's legs. Dr. Rogalska performed the autopsy of the legs. And there's only certain things she can tell us from the limited amount of human body remaining that she was able to do an autopsy of. She can say that Krista Halderson was dismembered post-mortem, so after death. She also, looking at a totality of the circumstances, puts the cause of death as homicidal violence. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you if Krista was shot, strangled, stabbed, or something else. I can't. What I can tell you is we have 5 bullets missing from a magazine, and we know that Bart Halderson was shot 2 or 3 times. So there are 2 missing bullets, but I don't know if she was shot. What I do know is she entered the house, and it was only Bart and Chandler there. No one else. She died of homicidal violence. Manner of death, homicide. And those are legal documents that the ME has to put these determinations on. We know that Chandler arrives back home at 9:31 a.m. Later that day, he goes to Dulce's house, and he returns at 3:07 p.m. And that night, though, we know he leaves his house at 10:08 p.m. And we know he goes up to Portage along the Wisconsin River. From his house to Portage and back. He's up in the Portage area from at least 10:37 p.m. to 11:03 p.m. Portage is along the Wisconsin River. We tried to search that area. The Wisconsin River has a very strong current. People drown there every year, and we never find their bodies, and their bodies are whole. They attempted a dive. It was unsafe. We didn't find any evidence there. But I think in the totality of the circumstances, that wasn't a nighttime trip to go swimming. We know he returns at 11:30 p.m. And then we go on to July 4th. July 4th is actually the day that is the most eerie to me, because it's like Chandler Halderson pushed pause on his crime and just lived a normal life for a day. On July 4th, he spends the day with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's family. He goes to the farm, uses the pool, eats dinner, they have some sort of barbecue, and he asks permission to return the next day and use the pool. On that day, he does do one thing concerning his crime. Oh, and then he goes to fireworks that night at Dan Croninger's house. He does send this text message that he says tells everyone is from his mom, and it is made from mom's phone, that again is in the house, in shoes, hiding in the garage. Made it safely. Can't get anything through, and yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. We'll be home Monday night or Tuesday early. Love you lots. Mom ended a lot of her text messages to Chandler. Love you lots. Couple problems with the text message. First, the parade was on Saturday, not Sunday. Second, the phone never leaves Windsor, Wisconsin. Monday, July 5th. We know that Kat had stayed over the night before, and she leaves at 7:47. We know that that day is supposedly Chandler's big doctor appointment at 2 p.m. We know that it's at a UW clinic on Park Street because there's conversation between Kat and Chandler about her potentially taking him, trying to get off of work, and she actually Googles the directions. Here's his text messages to her. Made it a bit ago and checked in. This is at 2:09. Just need you to know because I have horrible reception. 2:22. No connection to even load Snapchat. 2:24. And no Wi-Fi. 2:24. What UW clinic doesn't have Wi-Fi? They took an X-ray and CT scan. Nothing bad on the X-ray. CT scan, hun. They haven't determined anything, but with my legs, like they were, and all, I gotta wait to hear what they determined. Chandler never went to any doctor's appointment. He's at home, sending these text messages to his girlfriend, keeping up his ruse. Nowhere close to Madison, certainly not on Park Street. He does leave the house though that day. At 4:30 p.m., he goes to the farm. We know about that. He leaves a voicemail for Cress, and then him and Cress end up having an interaction, and there's this whole conversation about using the pool. We also hear from both Cress and Dulce that they went by the pool, and there was no Chandler. So they take their little lawnmower. What did Dulce say? Granny's on a lawnmower. And they ride to where his car is, and the back is up, the trunk door, the hatch. And no Chandler. It's by the wood line. They see Chandler at some point kind of exit from the wood line. And indeed, his phone does have him there. And Cress is concerned enough. She thinks something's happening. I don't think she thought this, but she thought something was happening. So she asks the deputies to come take a look out in the woods there. So Brent Baverstock comes. He sees turkey vultures. He knows what he's about to find. He probably thinks he's going to find a whole body, but he knows what he's about to find. And there was Bart Halderson's torso. Dr. Breslauer did the autopsy of Bart's torso. She said he had at least 2 gunshot wounds, possibly 3. She couldn't tell because some of the deterioration of the muscle, whether or not it was like 1 wound tract or 2. So at least 2, but maybe 3. That he was shot in the back at least twice. That there was bullet material located in his body, and that 1 shot was a contact wound. The muzzle of the gun was touching his skin on the back. This wasn't a, oops, the gun went off. This is a, got you, you're dead. Cause of death, gunshot wounds. Manner of death, homicide. Can't shoot yourself in the back. So deputies begin to search this property. It's a vast property, maybe about 45 acres. A lot of it's prairie, a lot of it's woods. But they find this oil drum that has this weird cutout. And so they look in there and they find tools. And those tools then are tested by the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. The all-way handsaw has human blood identified as Bart and Krista. The broken saw blade has blood, it's Bart's. The scissors has blood, Bart and Krista's. And again, look at those numbers, 1,000 times the world's population. There's also some pruning shears. Again, tested positive for human blood, Bart and Krista. And the head had Bart. Some of these tools were then sent to Dr. Figueroa Soto. And she did a detailed analysis, and she sat and she talked a lot about, well, things I don't really understand. But here's the basics of what I understood and what her reports say. Is that this all-way saw has a certain number of teeth per inch, this broken handsaw has a certain number of teeth per inch. She can look microscopically at the wounds and tell us what tools are consistent with the markings that she saw. On Bart Halderson, his fourth cervical vertebrae is consistent with the broken handsaw. That's the tool that Chandler used to cut off his dad's head. And of course, that handsaw, or that blade, has DNA parts. Tools used to dismember Bart Halderson, the right humerus, consistent with that all-way super saw, right femur consistent with the all-way super saw, and left femur consistent with the all-way super saw. That's that saw. Again, has Bart's DNA and blood. Analyst McMahon from the Wisconsin State Crime Lab also looked at some of these items found on the Irwin Road farm. She looked at that saw blade, and she compared it to the saw handle found in the garage of the Halderson home. And she did what she does. She took some measurements, puts things precisely, and found that they were a match, that those items fit. She put together two puzzle pieces. An item from Irwin Road matched an item in the garage of the Halderson home. She also took a look at the tarp in the garbage can. And there's a couple links back to the house with this garbage can. There's an extra lid to a garbage can up in that room that was, I think, at one time a bathroom and that they were remodeling. And there's also a matching sort of container in the garage. Inside of that container found on the farm is a piece of yellow duct tape. That duct tape had blood. That was Bart Halderson's. On that tarp inside of that trash bin, there's more yellow tape. More yellow tape. And there's yellow duct tape found at the house. So analyst McMahon pieced these together microscopically to see if they were a match. And she looked at them and found that they were all one continuous piece of tape. That's the tape he wrapped around the tarp to seal up his dad's torso. That torso also had Bart and Krista's DNA on it and tested positive for blood. Analyst Matson looked at some various items from the farm as well. She looked at that same tarp and found a fingerprint from Chandler. Now remember, that tarp we have Chandler buying at Fleet Farm. It would have been bought and packaged with no fingerprints on it. Here we find it covered in blood with his fingerprint. She also looked at that tarp that was in that bin and looked at it for footwear impression analysis. Could you see some prints on it, and can we match those up to some shoes? Maybe that'll help us figure out who that is, who was on that tarp. She's able to match it up to Brooks 5 launch shoes. A pair of Brooks 5 launch shoes in a size 10.5 were found in the Halderson garage. Again, those are the same ones that have blood on them and that Chandler's wearing in that video. A second tarp was found in the barn. It is an older tarp. They tried to do footwear analysis on it, came back to a Ralph Polo shoe. We never found one of those. But again, that's an older tarp. We don't know if possibly it was before the homicides or after, or if there was a pair of shoes that were ditched somewhere. But that tarp, once again, is covered in blood that tests positive for both Bart and Krista. Now, you saw a picture of Bart working on that tarp. What you didn't see on that tarp was a bunch of blood stains, because they weren't there. This blood is from this crime. Chandler gets home from the farm at 8:54 in the evening, after going to the farm and later having dinner with Kat. But that night, he's not done. Early in the morning of the 6th, we see the fireplace burning more. Not as great as before, but some burning. We also see that garage light go on and off, on and off. I think it's a total of 7 times, Deputy Wilk. And that's throughout the night. And we know at 4:30 that morning, Chandler leaves and goes into Madison. We know he goes into Madison from his phone records. We don't know what he did there, but we do know it was a trip that started out in the dark. We know he didn't have a job. And we know Madison's surrounded by lakes. Use your common sense. Wednesday, July 7th. We know the Subaru departs at 9:36 and that Chandler goes to the farm. We know he goes to the farm from both his phone records, but also from this text exchange with Kat. Kat texts Chandler asking where he's going, and he replies, farm, but no one here, so leaving. We also know that out in the farm was found a Target bag that had been at Chandler's house. How do we know that? Because it has Kat's name on it from the pickup order of the stuff she brought over to Chandler's house that she testified about. That bag is full of bloody rags. We heard from Cress, those aren't from her house, and Catherine, that those aren't her rags. Chandler took a bag full of bloody rags, disposed of it at the farm, and a bag with Kat's name on it. And those tested positive for blood, but were not suitable for DNA testing. He comes back to his house after being at the farm, and he leaves and he goes and reports his parents missing at the police department. So he reports his parents missing. Later that evening, he has a couple visitors. There's close family friends, the Hilgendorfs, and there's two girls that are about the same age as the Halderson brothers, and they go over to try to comfort Chandler, because that's what Krista would want them to do, one of them testified. So that's what they were gonna do. They go over there, and through a series of events, Chandler starts giving them legal advice about police cooperation. You know, you don't have to turn your phone over to police. They don't have to image it. You can just take screenshots and text it to them. Your parents are allegedly missing. You just reported them to the police as missing, and you're encouraging people not to be fully cooperative with police? He then later has pizza that night with Mary Sesto and tells Mary Sesto, she starts saying, well, can't they just ping your parents' phones? Wouldn't that work? And he said, no, they can't ping a cell phone. She, disagrees with him. Yeah, you can. He looked her in the eye, she testified, and coldly said, no, they can't. She was nervous enough of Chandler at that point that she testified that she put herself between the exit door and Chandler. At that point, she knew something had happened. She just didn't have the evidence to back it up yet, just her gut feeling. On July 8th, Chandler goes around the neighborhood and questions neighbors concerning video footage. In all fairness, his uncle did recommend that he do this, but his uncle also said it's to preserve that evidence. If you watch those videos and listen to that audio, when people and his neighbors say, yeah, I turned it over to the police yesterday, he doesn't say, okay, thank you. He starts asking questions. Does your camera pick up the road? Does it pick up my house? Does it pick up my driveway? He's not trying to help the investigation. He's trying to figure out, are the police on to me yet? He gives media interviews to 3 different stations. And as more and more squad cars arrive, he starts calling the police, asking, hey, what's up? Also that day, on July 8th, he does some Google searches. The timing of these searches is incredibly important, folks. Those searches happened at 9:44 and 9:45 a.m. Torso is not found until 3 p.m. Krista's legs are not found until a week later. And what is he Googling? Body found, Wisconsin. Women's body found, Wisconsin. Wisconsin dismembered body found. Dead body found, Wisconsin. I think it's interesting what he wasn't Googling. Jane Doe, John Doe in hospital in Wisconsin. Car crashes in northern Wisconsin. Crimes in White Lake, Wisconsin. Drownings on Sawyer Lake where their cabin is. Or organizations that maybe can help start a manhunt. I think it's also worth noting he had 2 vehicles available, never even went looking for his parents. There's a reason. He knew where they were. He put them there. It's also worth noting that the analyst yesterday, Courtney Ripp, testified that she didn't have any Google searches before July 8th to even look at. So that either means that Chandler never Googled anything for the entire time period of those search warrants, or he cleared his history every day. On this day, he was arrested. He didn't have a chance to clear his history. So he's taken down to the station, where he gives about an 1.5 hour, 2-hour interview, where he gives the same lie of this mystery couple of, taking lots of alcohol to the cabin, taking a large amount of cash, because, accountants love to keep large amounts of cash around. And at some point, Detective Hendrickson is like, we know you're lying. We know your parents are no longer here. Why don't you tell us the truth? And at that point, Chandler's arrested. So that's the evidence, folks. That's the pieces of the puzzle in this case. It's not a whodunit. Cameras all around. We know that Bart and Krista went into that home and never came out, at least as whole people. That their bodies were found dismembered, discarded, and hidden throughout the southern half of Wisconsin. That's what the evidence shows. We have experts from DNA, fracture matching, trace, footwear, fire inspector. We have bones in the ash trap. Chandler Halderson killed his parents. But I think it's very important to point out that Bart and Krista Halderson are not a puzzle. It's a good metaphor. It's a helpful metaphor, perhaps, to look at evidence. But they are 2 people that were very much alive on June 30th of 2021. They are 2 people that deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. They were somebody's spouse, somebody's parents, somebody's brother, somebody's sister. They were loved by their neighbors, they had close friends, they had jobs. They were normal folks just trying to live a normal life. They don't even get to be buried next to each other. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm asking that you give justice to Krista and Bart Halderson, and that you treat them with the dignity and respect that their own son has never given them. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Raymond.
And she summed that up very well. I love the way they put that evidence together. He's pretty disgusting, as you all heard. Let's see. I'm not playing the defenses, the defense's closing arguments. It does not matter to me. I'm going to the rebuttal closing of the prosecution. That is all that matters at this time. So the other prosecutor, is going to give the rest of the closing, the rebuttal closing. And we're gonna watch that. I don't want to hear what the defense attorneys have to say. I'm sorry. This is a rewind. So if it was first, yeah, maybe, but I don't want to hear what they have to say. He gets the defense like everyone else, but we already know how this case ended. It was just, it's just an a very interesting case to me. So.
Thank you. There's a lot of talk in the defense closing and opening about things they learned in law school or going to law school. And I think in the opening I heard at one point, being on a jury is different than being a person. I don't know if any of that's true, but I'm done with law school and I do this for a living. I operate in a world of common sense and not fanciful thoughts of just this guy finding his dead parents and deciding, no big deal, let's just cut them apart and hide them around the state. But who knows how they died? I live in that world. That's the world you should live into. Because being a juror is no different than being a person, unlike maybe what you were told earlier. You're told by the judge, although they figured out a way to say it in about 2 paragraphs, you use your common sense and experience in the roles of everyday life, or something along those lines. A bunch of lawyers got together and thought about it for 2 weeks and figured out a way to say use your common sense.
Yep. Deserves a fair trial. That's what he got.
This was an awful accident. Bart Halderson was shot in the back twice. You do not fall down and shoot yourself in the back twice. Bart Halderson and Krista Halderson had their heads chopped off, had their arms and legs removed. That was an awful accident. Think of for a second. You heard about the bones. You saw those marks on the bones, those attempts. Some of them 3, some of them 10, some of them 5. False starts is what the anthropologists call them. That is someone on their hands and knees. Chandler, apparently, which was just saying, I guess we're admitting to that now. They lied and chopped him up and hit him around the state. On his hands and knees, some of them from the front to back, meaning probably could see the face of his mom and his dad as that saw moved back and forth, back and forth. And you just saw the bones. But what's before the bones? The skin, the blood, the muscle, the fat, the smell that they had to produce, the blood of his own parents. An awful accident. We heard, I go days without Googling things. I don't, maybe you do. But I bet you don't Google dismembered body found in Wisconsin when you're crying on the local news about your missing parents. I bet you don't Google woman's dismembered body found. I bet you don't do legal research about some other guy who chopped up his family members and threw them in a river. I bet you don't do that. This process is about common sense. Ms. Vera talked a lot about the lies. Chandler is a liar, and it seems like we all agree on that now. Lots of people lie. I can agree with Ms. Vera on that. The question in this case isn't, who would do this? And maybe that's something that's gone through your mind here. Who would do this? Who would go through all this? Who would make up all these lies? Who would take it this far? All these fake people, the burner phone, the nonsense, the calls to his dad, the emails back and forth, the friends and family, the move to Florida. Who would do this? And you're going to leave this room. 6 of you are going to go home. 12 of you are going to go into a room and talk to each other. And you're never going to have an answer to that question. Because who would do this in the common sense meaning of it? Nobody does something like this. But that's not the role of a jury. You're answering a different question, which is who did this? Not who would do this. Because for the life of you, I bet before you got that notice in the mail a couple months ago saying you had to come here, you would say nobody. You would have said nobody. Nobody would shoot their dad in the back twice, kill their mom, lay him on the ground in front of their family fireplace, take scissors and pruning shears, take a hacksaw, take a keyhole saw, and saw off their heads, arms, legs, burn them in the fireplace. Over 100 fragments of human bone found in that fireplace. You'd say no one would do this. But you got your jury summons, and you ended up here, and you found out that someone did do it. Chandler Halderson did it. So those lies are important. Because you at some level have to grasp how this man got to that point. As I said in the opening statement, the murders were just a small piece of the puzzle. None of the things that happened before, none of the things that happened after make any sense. You gotta have the murders to understand why he did that bizarre story for 7 days of his parents going missing with the unknown couple. And you can understand the murders if you understand what happened before with his bizarre actions of building up this life. It wasn't real. Why were those lies important? They were important because it's all he had. We're here because of the deaths of Bart and Krista Halderson, and they are dead. There's no doubt about that. You have most decidedly concluded that at this point. You've seen the bodies. But on some level, whoever Chandler Halderson was died years ago as well. And what was left was this shell of a person who made this nonsense up, who built himself up to be a tech employee, rescue scuba diving guy, who was going to college. It was all he had. It was all he had. And that started to unravel. Maybe his parents suspected it. But you listened to Bart Halderson on that call just about a day before he was killed. That sound like someone to you who knew his son had been lying to him? Those text messages. I spoke to Omar Joe. I'm ready whenever you are. He didn't know what was going on until that moment. So when Bart Halderson finds out that this is a lie, to Chandler, whoever Chandler Halderson is, the whole world crumbles. Because if you weren't going to school, they sure weren't going to hire you at American Family Insurance. That couldn't have been real. There's no way you got a job at SpaceX. What else are you lying about? Where are you going all the time when you say you're training for the scuba diving team? Everything about him falls apart. He doesn't have any money. Remember when he texted his girlfriend he was going to the police? Hey, can I have $5 for a sandwich? You can't just leave. You can't move out. You can't get in the car and head west. He probably couldn't make it out of the state with the amount of money he had because he never had a job. He had two options. Own up to his lies, stand up and finally tell the truth for once, or like a coward, shoot your father in the back. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Miss Vera says, wow, we just got a showcase. Yeah, we got a bullet fragment. Just happens to have Bart Halderson's DNA on it. And you looked at it, just happens to appear to have blood all over it. And then text my mom. Hey, pick up soda for me. Dad's phone's dead. She gets home. Whose blood spatters on the safe right there by the bullet fragment? Those little red dots, human blood. It's Krista Halderson. We don't know what happened. We know exactly what happened. Murders are not captured on video. That's not how this happens. That's not how this works. Sure, in the grand scheme of things, there are some people who are stupid enough to walk up to a gas station, stand in front of the security camera, and shoot somebody. But that's not real life. That's not common sense. Chandler Halderson did this in the basement of his house. The blood is everywhere. The bullet's there. You heard from Mr. Welleberry, who testified, he only found one, and the one he found was kind of rolled behind under that bench. He tried to clean up. Peroxide everywhere. He's having people bring him peroxide. Blood all over that fireplace stoop. Bone fragments in the ash trap. You know exactly what happened. You don't need a video. The lies are important because it's all Chandler Halderson had. And when they were exposed, he started coming up with this plan. And yeah, after the Omar Job text comes in on the 29th, he's having a conversation with his girlfriend. You heard? That's fair, actually, right? That's fair. The day before, hey, are we going to the cabin? What's going on? We were talking about the cabin. He's starting to dabble with the idea of what he's doing. And I think it was at 1:04 p.m. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours before he did it. He says they're going to the cabin this weekend. He made his final decision. Because at that moment, Chandler Halderson knew there was no way out. He couldn't get in the car and drive away. He couldn't make up another lie. He couldn't make up another email. He couldn't buy another burner phone. It was done. Everyone was going to see him for what he was. Just some liar. Some guy without a job, not going to school, who'd been lying to everyone for years. And he couldn't handle that. So he committed the ultimate act of betrayal against your parents. Perhaps against any human being, but especially your parents, the person who held you when you were a baby and cleaned up your cuts on your knee when you were learning to ride a bike, comforted you when you were crying. The ultimate act of betrayal. He shot his parents. And then he cut them up and he hid them. But the lies didn't even stop there. It was a new lie. No, that's the cabin. Now he's on the news. Now he's giving interviews. Given 2-3 more days, don't think for a second there wouldn't have been 2-3 more fake emails. Text messages from my mom. A whole new world. A whole new reality for Chandler that he got to live in. His checklist was right there. Finally, he was going to get a job. Obviously, mom and dad couldn't support him anymore. Maybe he was going to get some life insurance. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't. But he certainly got to continue on his fake life. He got to keep his girlfriend. People continued to respect him. His friends probably continued to think that he was successful and important. The lies were rinsed and repeated, rinsed and repeated. And I promise I'm about done, and I'm the last person who talks. The judge is going to talk a little bit more. What he's going to say next is hard to hear in that he has to read off the verdict forms you're going to take back to the jury room with you. The verdict forms are the physical documents for each charge. There's a bunch of charges here. For each one, there's one that says guilty and not guilty, guilty and not guilty, guilty and not guilty. He actually read them all. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but he has to do it. But what Ms. Vera is asking you to do is to lie. It is the last lie of Chandler Halderson. His lawyers stood up here and told you to lie for him. not to do what you swore to do, which is to render a just and true verdict based on the evidence, to reconcile the evidence, if you can find any reasonable hypothesis consistent with the defendant's innocence, a reasonable hypothesis, that reasonable hypothesis that was just offered to you is that was an accident. That's how they died. And then Chandler made what his attorney believes to be the reasonable decision to chop apart those bodies and hide them around the state. What you're being asked to do is to lie one last time. It is the experience that everyone in Chandler Halderson's life has had to deal with, and now it's yours. His girlfriend dealt with it. Sure, Bart and Krista dealt with it. Finding out maybe on the last day of their lives. Mitchell is dealing with it. Brett is dealing with it. Their family friends. The Hilgendorfs. Their kids. Haley and Hannah. They've had to deal with it. Mary Sesto had to deal with it. Kevin Linsmeyer, the neighbor, had to deal with it. Then to the police. Deputy Seeley, Deputy Nelson, Deputy Sean, Deputy Sims, Deputy Hendrickson, Deputy Collins-LaFleur. Everyone who has interacted with this man for years has had no other experience other than being lied to. And now it's you that's going to be lied to by his attorneys. Asking
Okay,
you.
I'm going to object now.
You objecting?
Thanks for your patience, folks. I want to clarify that, of course, within the instructions, as far as closing argument, not being evidence, closing argument being opinions expressed by counsel for both the state and the defense to you about their view of the evidence and so forth. My understanding is the state was not meaning to suggest that counsel for the defense had lied or in any way was urging you to do anything other than uphold your oath and to follow the law as instructed in your deliberations. Continue.
Thank you. Those verdict forms you're going to fill out, every single one of them represents something bad. And what we're asking you to do is to dig through that evidence, dig through your notes, dig through your memory.
Well, it's true. You're asking them to
What happened here
lie.
wasn't an accident. What happened here wasn't a mistake.
I get it, though. It's
What
the
happened here
law.
wasn't innocent lies, coincidences. Mr. Halderson's statement to the police that my mom has nosebleeds and my dad, he just scratches his psoriasis. It doesn't explain his blood on a bullet fragment. It doesn't explain all of their blood on the fireplace. It doesn't explain the Halderson's teeth in the ash trap. It doesn't explain their skull in the ash trap and placed on top of the fireplace. What I'm asking you to do is
Object to
to
what?
and not to negotiate. Not take the idea that, well, there's one piece of paper there where he signed a document and says he lied to the cops, and maybe that's good enough. These people were killed. This is a first-degree intentional homicide. This is a first-degree intentional homicide. You cannot shoot someone in the back. You cannot chop them up. You cannot scatter their remains and come to any other conclusion. And there is only one person who did those things here, and that is Chandler Halderson. And we're asking you to find him guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
So, just very briefly for always, forever for life. So they objected to the fact that he kept saying that their counsel is asking you to lie. So a play on words, but it is what it is. Like, okay, so I guess the judge just clarified that he's not really asking them that. It's just a play. It's a play on words. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's play on words, a clever play on words. Because essentially, if they're asking you to overlook all this overwhelming evidence that they do have, and then you're asking them to lie, right? I mean, it is a lie. Chandler is a lie. His whole life is a lie. You sitting there, you see him lie. So yeah, I think who the heck does this to their own parents? Exactly, FFS. Chloe Albert's revenge. Let me just see what she's saying here briefly, because the prosecutor is describing my client way too well. Bravo, Chloe, for that. So yeah, essentially that's what you're asking them to do, right? All this evidence, stuff just like people that I don't think there's any smart criminals, because they normally never get away with it, right? So he's just another dummy that thought that he can do it. I mean, and he didn't choose to go. And I agree with somebody in the chat saying that he was a serial killer in the making, serial unaliver in the making. Definitely. I don't, your mind starts racing. Like, so he was going to live with cats mother and partner and whoever they was going to let him have this car. Now, do you actually think that he was going to go get a job? He's already saying he can't walk from this fake accident that he put out there. Did you actually think he was going to go get a job? No, they probably would have ended up like his parents. Look how big the farm was. A nice way to oops, and let's not forget, he hid parts of his parents' body on the farm, and he went back. He was going, and he knew the innings and outings of the farm, right? So when they first went into the shed, they did not see the pow pow the first time. They went back in the shed, and now they find the pow pow in the shed in the back up against the wall. So there probably would have been a point, if he got away with this, he probably would have added them to his list. They said you need to unalive 4 people to become a serial unaliver, and he was well on his way. So that's just something to think about. Like, this guy's just popping up at the farm, but they thought it was just his parents were missing. He was sad because of his injury. They're trying to help them. Such betrayal. It's sickening. So we're going to go right now to the verdict, and this is going to be the end, and I'm going to be covering a current case. You guys will see that case. Shout out to Child Diggy for have a couple cases. So I did decide on one that I'm going to go ahead and it's live streaming now. We're going to catch up on that case, and then it's going to be live streamed as the days come by. Go by. It's I have a couple cases here, but it's one that I picked that I'm going to cover, and I'm not seeing it right. Now I decided not to do that one. Not that one. All right, so it's about a I have to look back on it. Why 4 if 3 is a game? Oh my God, Chloe, gotta love you. That's what they say. 4. You're considered after 4. So we're gonna just read the verdict. They weren't out for long at all. Let's get through this too. We can get out of here. I'll bring you up to speed on that case. Maybe I'll do a video to introduce it, and then you guys will, and post it. You guys will see what the next case we're going to cover, because it's current. All right, so I thought they was going to start right from the beginning. What's going on here? Let's see. All right. So they were waiting for the jury.
We're back on the record, and the appearances are as they were previously. Is there anything from the state before we have the jury join us?
No.
Anything from the defense?
No.
Randy, if you would.
Excuse me. He's somebody's girlfriend. You can for yes. He's somebody's girlfriend. I can almost guarantee that.
All right, the jury. Please be seated. Juror number 6, by all indications, you would be the foreperson, is that correct? Yes, sir. Sir, did the jury reach verdicts on all counts in this matter? We did. Could you please give Randy the folder? The verdict form on count 1, as signed by the presiding juror and dated today, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 1 of the amended information. As to the verdict form for count 2, as signed and dated, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of providing false information about a missing person as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 2 of the amended information. Verdict form for count 3, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 3 of the amended information. Verdict form for count 4, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of hiding a corpse as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 4 of the amended information. The verdict form for count 5, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 5 of the amended information. The verdict form for count 6, as signed and dated by the foreperson, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of providing false information about a missing person as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 6 of the amended information. The verdict form as to count 7, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 7 of the amended information. And finally, the verdict form for count 8, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of hiding a corpse as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 8 of the amended information. I will note for the record that the jury also returned the 8 verdict forms that read not guilty and that those do not bear any signature or date, as well as returning the jury instructions. Let me inquire of you, and I'll use initials. Ms. B, are the verdicts which I read the verdicts with which you agreed? Mr. Derringer, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Mr. H, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Yes, they are. Mr. M, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? I do not need to ask the foreperson, as his signature appeared on the verdicts. Ms. C, are those the, Mr. C, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Yes, they were. Ms. W, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Yes, Mr. M, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Mr. H, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Mr. A, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Yes. Mr. J, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Yes. And finally, Mr. B, are those the verdicts with which you agreed? Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, you have finished your service here as the jury in this case. I have to tell you that words are difficult to come with to express the gratitude that I feel and that I believe
all right
in the criminal justice system which we serve.
Let me is he still, let me see something, because didn't Chandler speak at the sentencing? Hold on, y'all, because I believe I could be remembering wrong. Well, yeah, this is why I rewind cases, especially because for this reason. I want to say that this guy spoke at his sentencing. Hold on 1 second. Let me just bring that up really, really quick here. Because for some reason, I wanted to say he spoke at his hearing, and I want to at his sentencing. Hold on. All right. So yeah, he breaks his silence. Hold on, y'all. So shout out to Court TV for this one. I got this one from Court TV. So he broke his silence at his sentencing. Yes, he did. I thought I remembered that he did speak at the sentencing. What a fool! What a freaking fool!
The only time Mr. Halderson comes back into the community is to have the privilege of a burial that he denied his parents.
He's going away for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. That was Chandler Halderson's sentencing that happened on Thursday in Madison, Wisconsin. You remember we brought that trial to you live, gavel to gavel. You can go in our on-demand section too on courttv.com, or if you watch us on a Roku device or however you do it, and you can watch that trial gavel to gavel as well. So yesterday there was some speaking out at the conclusion of this case. I want to share with you some of what the prosecutor shared during the time of the sentencing hearing.
When we talk about the gravity of the offense, it's a consideration. The court gets to decide what that means. But you should consider that in my mind, in my experience as a prosecutor in this county, as a citizen of this state, I've never heard of a crime more serious. I've never heard of a crime more brutal. Mr. Halderson's mere presence in our community, the fact that he did any of this, has ripped apart the fabric of our community. The idea that someone can live amongst us with no warning signs and commit such heinous acts should scare everybody, and it sure as hell scared everybody here. No one who's interacted with Mr. Halderson will ever be the same.
I love this.
For whatever reason he decided to do it, whatever justification he can come up with in his own mind, whether it be today or down the road in many years, nothing will ever explain it. His actions in July of this year were evil. And for this generation and at this time, Mr. Halderson is the personification of evil in our community.
This is one of those cases, it was just stomach turning to watch. He murdered his mother and father, and he didn't stop there. He then dismembered their bodies and lied about it to everyone. And the motivation for it was, apparently he was living a double life, lying to friends, his girlfriend, his parents. And when they finally caught on to him, that was what he chose to do. And yesterday it was a surprise to many that he chose to speak out. It was brief, but take a listen to what he said to the judge.
I know that in your memorandum, there was an indication once again that Mr. Halderson would not exercise his right to elocute at this hearing. Obviously, just as with trial, it comes up to a decision at the very last minute. I just want to ensure at this moment whether or not Mr. Halderson wishes to make a statement.
And thank you for doing that. That has changed. Mr. Halderson would like to give a statement to Your Honor.
You may remove your mask if you wish. I believe the conditions in the jail are and very good as far as the pandemic. So if you want to speak without your mask and Attorney Dorrell's comfortable with that, you could. Okay. And I would only ask that you read slowly, simply because my court reporter has to take down what you're saying, and sometimes we read faster than we mean to.
Your Honor, I want to take this opportunity to state my intent to appeal my convictions. If there are any lawyers listening and willing to take on my appeal, take a moment to please reach out to me. It's not that I do not have feelings. It's that I was warned to not show them due to the scrutiny of this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not showing a lot of feeling now.
He took the time to speak at his sentencing to appeal to the masses about getting him a freaking attorney for his appeal. I remember him speaking at the sentencing. I just kind of was foggy on what he said. Sarah Boone much? She's still creating havoc. I go to, it's one YouTuber here on YouTube, and oh my goodness, it's something 2 cents. I forget her first name. Oh my goodness. She keeps you abreast of everything going on. Sarah Boone is still at it. Why is she talking? But anyway, don't want to get off topic. Getting back to him. I just need him to... Your parents told you not to show emotion, but did they never tell you to? Because you're stupid. So he took the time at sentencing not to be sorry, but to, hey, any high-profile attorneys out, this is a high, profile case. I'm going to appeal it. Reach out. He just didn't do it like Sarah Boone. She made her ad. Looking to skyrocket your career. Looking to become a social media or internet sensation. Yeah, that's what she did. He just didn't do it that way. He just did it in open court. Heartless. But we can all rest assured in knowing that he is off the street and he is somebody's girlfriend. I can put my life on that. Bet your bottom dollar, he's somebody's girlfriend. Big Bubba got you now. You're never coming home. You never walk the streets again, as you should not allow it to be, okay? All right. So, I'm getting ready to get out of here, like I said. Flesh of the Gods is going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys could drop his link down in the chat. Can you drop Cat Not Williams' link down in the chat? Yeah, that's right. He can forget it. He's never coming out. So Cat Not Williams is going live for the they're both covering the ASAP Rocky trial. And so Cat is starting on time. Let me just check that. Or Chloe Albert's Revenge. Do you know that off the top of your head? My mind is like kind of all over the place today. Well, let me pull her up and see. I'm not feeling too well. All right, let's see what Cat Not Williams, what time she's starting. So Cat is starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let me just make sure Flesh is 3 Eastern Standard Time. So glad, once again, I'm going to say congratulations to Flex of the Gods for he's free. And shout out to his attorney, Ronnie O'Neill. Yeah, so Flex is going. We call him Flex. So if you hear me say Flex, Flesh, same person. It's going live at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he has been freed, and we are all glad to hear that. Shout out to his attorney, Ronnie O'Neill. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm going to show you briefly who his attorney is, and I'm sure he has, made an emoji for him. I doubted Ronnie O'Neill, but Ronnie O'Neill came through in the clutch, and apparently he got Flesh off. Hey, y'all, just take a look at Flesh's attorney. I'm pretty sure he's going to show you a little bit more about who his attorney is and his representation and how he was able to get him reinstated and back on track. So this is Flesh's attorney. I just want you to all just take a brief, we're going to just look at him briefly because he didn't come to play. And I guess, I wasn't at the hearing. I missed it, at the Flesh's appeal hearing, but I'm sure, he came out swinging because that's who he is. But this is Flesh's attorney.
Of me beating Kenyatta Barron 15 damn times when that did not happen. And like I told you earlier, you will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one. Better believe it.
Tell him, Ronnie.
If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
All right, Mr. O'Neill, please stop using.
So there you have it. That is Flesh's attorney, Flesh of the God's attorney. And I said, Flesh, what are you doing? He said, listen, Ronnie O'Neill is my guy, and that's it. I chose Ronnie, and that's who I'm going with. And shout out to Ronnie and Flesh of the Gods for on winning their case. All right. So as I stated, Flesh is at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cat Not Williams is 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to No One for the background music. If you need some music, you're a content creator, you're looking to get some music behind your videos, please don't hesitate to reach out to No One. I only can, drop the link of No One, but you have to reach out to No One to, go through the logistics of how you guys will work that out, because that is his business. And so, yeah, that one. So, all right. You guys, I am going to end this the way I normally do. And it would not, excuse me, I'm going to end this by showing, and raising awareness that men get breast cancer too, because of the stigma of the word breast. Here on the Survivor Speaks channel, we have changed the word to chest and or pec cancer. So let's continue to break the stigma and spread awareness. And to my ladies, please remember to get your mammograms, fill on your boobies to make sure that you are all right. All right. And don't you dare let anyone come into your house and disturb the peace that passes all understanding. I'm Survivor Speaks, and I'll see you in the next video upload in these YouTube streets or in my live stream. Thank you so much for coming. Shout out to Flesh of the Gods, the channel sponsor for today. Peace.
Full cycle, I just might though just like a Michael. Mama gone now, I'm thinking death is now we entitled. And it was me versus me, them battles had to fight through. And when you way in the dark, them demons try to fight you. But you can't let them when you gotta see the damn light. Diabetes came from nowhere, messed up whole life. That's what I used to think, my mama helped me out. I got one deer in the sky.